Warning, the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will also be spoilers for various anime throughout the course of this episode. Please use caution in case we discuss a series that you haven't finished. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show. I offended my cat when I was doing that. He's so upset at me right now. That's maybe one of the dumbest things I've ever done. I hope you fucking like that.
Greetings, bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes! We want to thank you because you could have been listening to any podcast today. True crime podcast, cooking documentaries, or 4-hour videos about the effects of late-stage capitalism. But of all the available things out there, we're grateful you're listening here to a group of anime nerds to take on the in-depth look at a 25-year-old cartoon from Japan. And we brought forth only the best of the best to go completely unstructured discussions. Yes, we scoured the whole world of online otaku experts with my good buddies Andrew and Jet here, because who else would be better equipped to talk about robot girls, dog freedom fighters, immigrant cuckoldry, and constantly dying over and over again. Welcome, you, and everyone else out there too. Quack, Experiment, Anime, Excel Saga!
I really do applaud your commitment to the bit, my friend.
I really applaud your commitment to the bit there. Holy shit.
There is a level of voice acting hell that I'm sure all the dialogue, all the delivery is like that. And we're going to talk about some actors who had to do that because, wow, this is a classic. Hi everyone, welcome to Dub Talk. As you may know, we are usually in the business of talking about the newer dubs, trying to tell you about what's going on in the world of voice acting, but we got a special request. Yes, we did, because one of our good buddies over at Patreon actually had a special request for this episode. They wanted us to go back in time, not 5 years ago, not 15 years ago, but 25 years ago, back to 1999. Do you guys remember 1999?
I was 3?
Ooh.
I was 7, so I do have some vague recollections.
Oh, God, you're both make me feel old. I was in 4th grade, and, well, I didn't watch this at the time because this was definitely not geared towards me, but...
This doesn't seem like it is a show that should be watched at either of the ages of 3, 7, or 4th grade.
Not at all. And I'm definitely not giving this one to my kids to watch anytime soon, because they're all about that same age right now. So we'll be holding off on this one for a while.
I say I can't completely blame you, but yeah, I get it. Anyways, shout out to Kiwa Soup for requesting this episode on Patreon. Are you fucking...
Is she singing the thing in the background?
Yes, she is.
Oh, God.
Oh.
You're welcome.
Well, I was going to introduce the people here.
That's my beautiful, wonderful puppy girl, Stephanie.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
I will enjoy eating you out later, don't you worry.
No, Andrew, stop! We have children in the audience.
No, what children are watching an Excel Saga Dub Talk?
You don't know. Maybe they were looking for something else that just happened to have the word Excel in it. You know what? I bet they were looking for Excel spreadsheets, and they happened to run across this instead.
Anyways, love you. Thank you for your wonderful singing.
Wow, bro.
Sharing the microphone with the dog girl, Stephanie, is Andrew. How you doing?
Hi there. So, I am partially the reason why this is probably going to be a Dub Talk Classics. I have never fucking seen the show.
I'm glad you are. See, we got a baby in the podcast tonight. Well, I say that. He's only a couple years younger than the rest of us.
I'm 28.
Speaking of the rest of us. Also, I want to welcome my good buddy, who's probably going to be the more normal one between the three of us. Say hi, Jet.
Define normal.
In the sense that you can pass as having some semblance of maturity in a public setting where the other two of us have a hard time keeping it together.
I will say of the three of us, if I did not have a beard, like, Noah would look the youngest of all of us, and I would look the second youngest.
Okay, if you think I would pass for the most sentimentary out of the three of us, I really have to question your sanity.
To be fair, we did decide to review Excel Saga.
Which is not something normal people do. For those of you who are maybe coming to this a little bit on the newer side, because I say that Excel Saga is a classic series, but I don't really know how much of a reputation it has anymore. It was kind of groundbreaking back in its day when it first came out. It was like the go-to anime of, oh, you want to see what weird stuff Japan is making these days? You gotta check out Excel Saga. You gotta watch Hyatt dying. You gotta watch Pedro's sexy wife adventures. You gotta see the director put himself in the show. I don't know if this show is really seen by a lot of like younger viewers today, like ones who weren't there when the show was coming out on DVD.
I say, okay, I mean, if you want an idea, Death Note is considered vintage now, so...
Ooh. After this podcast, we're all going to go get our senior citizen card.
I'm truly sorry.
By the way, as a heads up, I did not hear the past minute of conversation you said there. I have a new kitten right now, and I have decided to give her complete free reign to just come in and out as she pleases. Because I think that's kind of the energy that the show needs to bring, is like a 4-month-old baby kitten just kind of bazookaing in and out at random intervals.
Yeah, if you like your show unfocused and all over the place, then a cat will do you very well, because that's the same energy going into this.
I'll say this. I'm not sure if I would completely say unfocused, because this is a lot more narratively story structured than I ever could have predicted.
That's fair. There is an ongoing plot, which let me explain to the newbies out there what the plot of the show is, because there is a plot.
Good luck.
Basically, two girls, Excel and Hyatt, who are brought into a small organization called a Cross, who have a very simple objective. It's very simple. Take over the world. Of
course!
However, their attempts to do so are usually thrown off by the members' incompetence, because Excel and Hyatt are not really the people you'd want to be helping you in your world domination. Excel is a very crazy, always hungry, always broke, never reliable girl who is constantly being dropped down trapdoors, having pans dropped on her head, and all manner of unfortunateness happening. And Hyatt is, for some reason, dying all the time. And I don't just mean, like, emotionally. No, like, literal blood coughed up, death, needs to be brought back to life kind of dying. And the show just follows the two of them as they attempt to take over the world through understanding different culture, like, understanding anime, America, animals, sports, anime. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
That is what you come for Excel Saga.
I mean, it's not an exact one-to-one, but I would say, if you ever looked at something like, I don't know, a Taibokan or Team Rocket, and, I know, you thought, like, man, I really like the villain characters. I want them to be the protagonists in this show.
So,
It kind of is.
if I had to describe what my first assumption of what Excel Saga is... Okay, how do I explain this? Noah, you are a fucking animation freak. You would probably know this. Do you remember the short-lived Clerks, the animated series?
Oh, absolutely. Only 6 episodes on ABC. Should have been a lot longer.
Do you remember the part of one of those episodes where they changed to a completely different foreign animation studio?
With the cartoon bear
With
and
the cartoon
very
bear,
low keyframe.
and it's like,
yeah.
That whole sketch feels like what the entirety of Excel Saga actually is. Very fast, very breakneck. Oh my god, who is driving? Oh my god, Bear is driving. How can this be?
Only with the added benefit of being actually made by the Japanese, so there's a ton of pop culture references. If you're like new to anime, or even if you want to understand what anime was like in the late 90s, do not watch Excel Saga. I do not recommend that because this show assumes you've seen all of those already. They assume you've seen Space Battleship Yamato and Galaxy Express 39, and that you've played dating sims, and that you're well versed in tokusatsu.
When
So,
people use the word
randomness is-
product of its time, people assume that means, okay, you could watch this now, but somebody's gonna have like a very off-color or transphobic joke in there. No, this is literally a thing that is a time capsule completely of the era it existed in.
That's a good thing, because we need ones like those. We need unabashed encapsulations of what not only the material was like, but the fan culture was like as well. Jet, can you think of any other shows that this kind of like reminded you of?
Let's say. I mean, I actually mentioned it in the Discord chat, but I would say if you want a modern equivalent, it's not exact. Like, it's definitely not a one-to-one in terms of like plot structure, but in terms of humor, if you've seen Mr. Osamatsu, it is kind of it's simplified when it comes to like very just uncultured humor and like just off-color parodies.
As somebody who
Yeah.
has seen the first season of Mr. Osamatsu and really wants to get around to the second one of these days, I can agree that I think Mr. Osamatsu is like the closest modern equivalent I can really think of like this. Mr. Osamatsu has like a bunch of crazy episodes, but can also be real when it wants to be at surprising times, but it also could be like literally just
Yeah.
shoot for the fences every single time.
Yeah, this show has emotional high points too, which you need it because it's not just constant craziness and slapstick shenanigans. There are emotional parts in here too, where you feel for characters.
We're gonna get to it when we talk to him, but like the entire saga of Pedro is like actually more interesting than this anyway.
Okay,
That's what
okay,
I'm
you know
talking
what?
about. I'm talking about Pedro.
I was thinking about like the actual like emotional stakes of like the members of the Cross or the civil servants. Okay, no, you're right. Pedro is legitimately the heart and soul of this show.
Pedro and Menchi are the heart and soul of this show.
Okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay. All right, but this is gonna be. I don't know how to steer the ship tonight, so I literally am glad I'm not driving, because if I was driving,
Yeah.
I was gonna be like that bear in that car in that episode of Clerks.
Oh, don't worry. I will be dropping you down the shaft several times tonight because I know that you're going to have thoughts, you're going to have things to say, and I'm just going to drop you down the chute when you get off topic. Sound good?
Okay, cool. That's fine. That's great. I will never get distracted. I will never go off topic. And have I said that you have a wonderful wife and family, and I appreciate the camaraderie that you have shown us in this podcast, and you've been a really good friend and host and all that stuff. And I got
Andrew, pull the string. Pull the string! Pull! Now, with everything we've said about this, you may be thinking, you listening at home, this is a show that's so steeped. It sounds like it's steeped in Japanese culture and it's very mile a minute. Surely no one was crazy enough to try to dub it into English, right? Especially not in the era this came out, right? Well, there was one crazy bunch of kooks out there in Texas who were up to the challenge, because the dub we were going to talk about came to us courtesy of the Gone Too Soon, Left Their Mark ADV films. Yes, back when they were actually called ADV before their Sentai days. These DVDs came out in 2002, so very close after the show was actually done airing in Japan.
So it was like,
And-
what, mid-1999 in Japan?
It was the fall season, because the halfway point of the show is their New Year's special. So
Okay.
First half in 99, second half in 2000.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the DVDs came out the same way in America. The first 3 volumes came out in 2002. Second half came out in 2003. So yeah, a very fast turnaround for the time period.
Considering how long some of these would take, that actually is pretty impressive.
Although it did lead to one unfortunate casting issue that we'll get to when we get to that
It
character.
is probably one
to
of
meet that
If
deadline.
you know anything about the dub of Excel Saga, that is probably one of the most notable things you will know about it.
But we'll pull that off on the back burner for now, because we are going to go through the characters in this like we normally do. That being said, full disclaimer, our discussion of this probably won't be so much on the acting side of it, because this isn't really like an acting-heavy kind of show. It's definitely about the dialogue. It's not so much about the acting, necessarily. So, but we're going to give our props to the actors, because I look at this and I'm like, I would want to do this as like a fan fun dub, maybe for like a scene or two. I would not want to try to dub all 26 episodes of it.
I think
These guys did.
See, I know what you're saying is that it's hard to judge the acting, but at the same time, I need to give complete and total accolades to every single person that has had to do multiple episodes of Excel Saga. Because if watching Excel Saga feels physically and emotionally exhausting, working on Excel Saga must be like triple the amount of exhaustion.
Which maybe you would think that that would lead to a kind of half-assed dub, but no. Not only is the dub really impressive, but the effort that ADV went through on the release itself is mind-blowing. Because let me start with the director and scriptwriter. We'll start from there and we'll go from.
I think that's
our
a good
praise
place to
from
start.
So, who was the madman? Who was the mastermind? Who was the big cheese? Who was the head honcho for this whole thing? It was not two guys, one doing directing and one scriptwriting. Nope, our credits for every episode for director and scriptwriter go to Matt Greenfield. Now, Matt Greenfield is no slouch. His credits for both directing and scriptwriting are some big heavy hitters from that time period of ADV, for that early 2000s era, like the Golden Boy OVA, the Bones series Razafon, the OVA Gunsmith Cats, and probably the thing that he will have reason to complain about for the rest of his life, the ADV dub of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which you cannot legally watch anywhere because of circumstances.
Well, you can now. If you bought the limited edition G-Kids release of the new Neon Genesis Evangelion set.
Yeah, I have the ultimate edition sitting behind my bed somewhere. So
You're right. I'm sorry. I should have rephrased. Let me pretend I went back in time and instead of saying legally watch, I
Okay,
said
no.
legally
Here's what you gotta
streaming.
do. You gotta shack up with the great will of the macrocosms. You gotta work the Bakusi real good, and then she will give you an instant redo button so you can undo that little foible there.
And I'd like to push her buttons, let me tell you. But for this discussion, we want to talk about what Matt did on this show. Yeah, Matt knocked it out of the park. The expectations were like way high up because I can't really think of another dub that is quite this. It's not only mile a minute, there are so many references, there are so many things that the original creators just kind of expect that you know already, that in order to try to translate that into a dub is impossible. It is literally impossible without fitting in dialogue to explain all of that. So they just had to focus on getting through the gag as if it was a natural gag, getting through the dialogue and all of that. And I have nothing but props for Matt, because he did it. He brought us the dub of 26 episodes with consistent quality. I think every episode is equally as consistent. It jumps the gambit between the emotional episodes, like the episodes with Menchi or Pedro, and the wacky, goofy slapstick moments with the civil servants. Wow, Matt did an impressive job on this.
Yeah, knowing that it was one guy, like, directing and scripting the entire thing is just really impressive. Matt Greenfield's resume does more or less speak for itself. He's turned in a lot of great work elsewhere, but, this one is really impressive. Like you were saying, Noah, it does sound, really consistent pretty much every episode, and I feel like that also kind of applies to what performances we get. Everyone sounds really high energy and does a pretty good job of matching the pace of the show, which definitely can't be easy. And especially impressed with how he handled a lot of the script writing, because like you were saying, there are a lot of references sprinkled throughout the show. And while that would be difficult to translate now, I imagine that had to be especially difficult back in 2002 when a lot of this stuff would have gone over the heads of most Americans. So
remember when internet was like dial-up? This was during the dial-up era.
Not quite. This is a little after the dial-up era.
Yeah, this was early internet, but not dial-up.
Okay, so what would 2002 era Austin, Texas internet quality be?
Basically, if the current internet we have is a team of huskies pulling your sled, 2002 Texas internet would have been like a team of hamsters.
I was gonna say, I would imagine it's going at the same speed as like that one old man that Menchi liked before things got stupid.
Before depict you, what was the line? You never forget the face of the dog that killed you, but they brought me back to life, and they have the technology to make me better, faster, stronger.
I will say
There's so many great little moments in this show.
There are some clear episodes that are winners and losers, and we might differ on which ones are winners and which ones are losers. Let's go with that.
Well, okay, what's your standout episode, Andrew?
There's a couple of good ones. I remember thinking to myself that I genuinely laughed out loud with the whole Excel Saga goes to America, because it's like, what is the approach of how they choose to adapt this, and all the actual animation gags and fucking stupid accents worked for that one?
I love that. That was the thing ADV did a lot. Like, you'll notice that if there's a character who originally spoke in English, what they'll do in this dub is that they'll make them sound Hispanic.
Or
they'll
Italian. I like
accent.
the Italian mob in the New York one.
I love that episode also because the conceit is that nobody does cell animation anymore. And I had to look it up because, yeah, this show is digital paint, is digipaint.
This must have been around the digipaint era, yeah.
It was, very close to the transition. Like, just for reference, Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Outlaw Star, all came out in 1998, just the year before this. Those were all really well done cell animated shows. So there were some studios that hadn't quite made the jump. JC Staff was obviously one that had by this point.
Yeah, JC Staff, how do I describe it? This is the show that clearly looks jank in a way that is sometimes intentional and sometimes not, but when it is not intentional, they leaned into it like it was intentional 24/7. If that makes sense.
Yeah, they definitely played with the sloppiness in a way that it can be funny. One thing that I know animators have said before is that if you want to make something funny, like funny looking, animate it on the fives. And I've seen them do that a couple times in this show. Like, there's a scene in, like, episode 1 or 2 where XL is directing traffic, and she's, waving her arms, and they're going all over the place. So the cars aren't just going back and forth. They're, like, going sideways. They're, like, on their nose. They're, like, flying across the screen. And the speed at which they're doing that is very well-controlled cartoon energy.
This is a cartoon-ass cartoon. In every conceivable
Tex Avery would
way.
be proud.
But, oh my, like, it is literally, I do not know what I am going to get every episode, because there are some episodes where it's like, what the fuck are we doing? There's some, okay.
Yeah, we don't have
my other favorite
to
episode, if I had to give another one that I would say is, like, my top episode, is probably the sports anime episode. Because just the fucking stupid bowling terrorist shit was, like, genuinely like, oh, this is the level of stupid nonsense that I kind of fuck with.
Oh, that sports. For a second, I thought you were talking about the baseball one.
Which one was
that's
the baseball
that's a different
one?
subgenre. The what is it? The the one where they go undercover in school.
Yeah, the one with the
that one was pretty good too. No, I meant that one was pretty good too. I did really like the frickin' stop chewing litter, you fucking goblin! My God, you poop on that.
I don't remember that line in the episode.
Sorry, that's kitten. That is the kitten.
Well, while we're distracted from that, Jet, what about you? What was your take? Like, do you have a favorite episode, or at least one that, like, stood out from the ones that you saw?
I mean, I thought the Rock Band episode was pretty good.
Oh, you mean the visual K?
Let's say, I thought the post line with that one was perfect.
That was great. That we're not going to mention him in the main cast, but huge shout out to Chris Patton in that episode.
Chris Patton just fucking stroking it in front of two girls. Sorry, I mean
Sure
the K. They say key, but it's K. It's supposed to be K.
Yeah.
Because they're clearly going for visual K there.
I don't think of other good ones. But I did get a kick out of the one where they tried to, quote-unquote, exploit political corruption, which that was beautiful.
Yeah, good luck with that, right?
But if you wanted my personal opinion, this might surprise you. I don't know if it'll surprise you. I fucking hate the Menchi episodes.
Ouch. Dude, those were like they weren't the best, but okay. You didn't like them. Why didn't you like them?
I'm gonna be honest. I thought the Menchi thing I hated that. I like animals too much. And I feel the punchline.
Oh, okay.
I feel the punchline is too mean. The punchline is too mean, and all the scenarios they put Menchi in are very mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, hey, we got these new friends. All your dog friends are gonna die. Hey, that one nice person that really liked you. Oh, he's actually an assassin. Hey, that one cool rich girl. No, actually, you get separated and it doesn't work. Fuck you. Fuck you. I want Menchi to be happy. I want Menchi to be happy and healthy and not fear for his life. Because that's like the one punchline I legitimately was like, no, this one's falling flat for me. I hate the dog fears for its life from people that they think are going to kill it. I hate that joke. I genuinely hate it.
Who's got it worse? Who's got it worse? Menchi from Excel Saga or the cat from Nichijou?
The cat from Nichijou's fucking fine. He gets in silly shenanigans. They're not gonna fucking kill him.
I mean, I do get what you're saying, but, like, as much as they say otherwise, I never got the impression that they were ever actually going to commit to the bit with Menchi.
No, it's definitely a gag that, it's not funny.
It's not funny, which is the problem.
Does the dog
because
survive?
I'll give Excel Saga credit. It shoots everything at the wall. It does not care if it's gonna stick or land, and humor is subjective, and there's some shit in here that really, really lands. That final episode, I cannot believe. Like, I had hard belly laughs at like...
Oh,
We'll get to that, but fuck.
Yeah,
but everything about Menchi
there's
just fucking, I hated it. I genuinely hated that.
Fair enough. But just trying to keep on the topic of, like, the overall direction and script writing.
I cannot believe Matt Greenfield did both the direction and the script. This is a real tour de force, and there's so much effort, passion, and, like, comedic, like, chops on full display. And I gotta say, the most impressive thing to me about Excel Saga is that it is a critically acclaimed, critically and fondly remembered ADV era gag comedy dub, and it's not a Stephen Foster joint.
And thank God for that.
There is an alternate reality where Excel Saga was ghost storied.
I don't think you could. The show is already goofy enough. They didn't have to amp it up at all. Like, when your episode titles are things like Increase Ratings Week, there's nowhere... you don't have to make that funny. It's already funny. You don't have to go Samurai Pizza Cats on this.
But I'm just saying there was a real reality where this could have been. And the fact that, like, Matt had as much love and reverence for this to give it, like, the dub that it needed, while also still having, like, some crazy-ass fun, taking some really fun, sometimes dated creative liberties, but genuinely fun, inspired, wacky additions to the whole project. This is a fun show. Whether I loved it or hated it, I respect everything that went into Excel Saga, and so much of that respect has to go to Matt Greenfield, because my god, this is not an easy show to do, and he did double duty in 2002.
Okay, yeah, in an era where, like, the expectation was pretty low, but we weren't getting anything like this. There were some, like, otaku-centric shows like this, like, there was, like, Comic Party, but, yeah, nothing that slammed this many references into it. Like, this is what Gainax wanted to be, if they could cram all their references in. The final thing that I'll end off with is, yes, Matt gets a lot of credit, as he should, for the direction and writing on this, keeping the actors in line. not in line, but giving them the energy and the direction they needed. I want to shout out two final people before we move on, because cultural notes are things that you absolutely need people who understand what the references are. Big shout out to Dan Kanemitsu and Richard Kim, who are in the credits as additional cultural notes or additional otaku references or nerdisms or whatever the credits say in that particular episode, because they really helped expand out the knowledge of this to people who, like, there's so much going on, you need an expert.
Oh yeah, I guess I should go into how I watch this and how Jet watched this now, because you're talking about specifically the ADV files.
Yes, let's do that. Before we move on to the actors, we'll talk about this final note. Like I said, this was an ADV dub originally, released on home video in 2002. When ADV went under, they had to offset some of their back catalog, and it got picked up by other services. In 2011, Funimation got the license to Excel Saga, re-released it. Was not able to keep the notes, because one of the features of the ADV release was they had pop-up translations and explanations of all of the notes to explain what the hell is going on. What is this a reference to? What does that line mean? All the stuff that, unless you are so immersed in Japan at the time, you will not get them all.
So I would say at this point I am like a well-versed, so even if I don't completely understand every references, I get the gist of them.
So, yeah, the reason we bring this up is because the three of us kind of watched the show in different ways because of how it's available. Jet, why don't you start with how you watch this show?
I just rewatched the show on Crunchyroll for the first, 2 or 3 episodes. Noticed right away that there was a bit of a problem. Notably that as far as the dub went, there were no subtitles for on-screen text, which is definitely a big problem for this show in particular.
There's a lot of on-screen non-translated text, yeah. So what I did was I own the singles, the ADV singles that have the original translator notes, the on-screen text, the weird-ass credits, because they have like weird Animaniacs-style credits in the ADV versions. So I put those all up on Drive for these guys to watch, so that they could, if they wanted to, they could watch a version of this that actually explains what the hell is going on, which is how I watch this.
Okay, to be clear, it is still clearly using, the same masters. It's literally just the problem is there's no text.
Yeah, that's all it is. The footage is exactly the same.
And I did not do that because I am lazy. I want to watch this on a couch or my bed and not plug things in. So I will continue to watch it on Crunchyroll just to see if I can figure out what they're saying or understand it with whether there's text or not. For the most part, I am able to watch this show relatively okay without the text, except I literally never knew what Hideyoshi said. Or Sumiyoshi. I never knew what Sumiyoshi said the entire time I watched the show.
And we'll get into that character, but yeah, that's a big problem.
That's genuinely a big problem.
Does not speak.
And let me also say this. I figured this would be a show closed captions would be really helpful for, because everybody's talking really fucking fast and really, really goddamn fast. So this seems like a show, especially where I'm getting a little older. I can't always understand things unless I turn up the volume really high, and I have neighbors. So let me attempt to see how the captions work. And it's AI generated, and it can't fucking track anybody's name for shit.
That was probably not how it was on the Funimation
100%
originally,
no.
Because as we all know, this Funimation back catalog was acquired by Crunchyroll, which is where the show is streaming now, legally.
If Steph had a copy of the Blu-ray, I would have watched it, but because she didn't, I stuck with the Crunchyroll one, and I can absolutely say this is not a show I would recommend watching on Crunchyroll unless you really, really have to. And honestly, I will say I think watching it on Crunchyroll did potentially impact my opinion a little bit. I don't think it completely made me hate the show. I don't think I would have completely loved the show more. But I feel like if I had, like, a rating, I would have maybe had, like, 0.5 of that number rating go up compared to how I watched it.
That makes sense. Yeah, you definitely weren't getting the full translated impact of the show.
Yeah. Legitimately, this could not keep track of anybody's fucking names. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, so if you're gonna watch the show, I might have different recommendations about where to watch it going forward, but yeah, the show has an interesting release history. So let's move on then from talking about the director and the scriptwriter and move on over to some of the characters, which, like I said, we're going to talk about the actors in this. We're going to talk about their characters. Probably going to have a hard time talking about, like, the acting, not because we're going to criticize the acting as bad, but because this just kind of isn't an acting kind of show. What does that mean? Well, we'll get into it in a bit here. We're going to move over to not the main characters who are on the screen. We're going to focus on the civil servants, because one thing we forgot to mention, half the show isn't even about Across and their exploits. It's about these random ass mid-20s guys and girls who are just in the business of saving the city from, like, the random civil servants, like, you know, the people who work at the DMV or stuff like that.
I will say this. There are some schlubs where it's like they are working adults trying to make their best in a world where they have no money. This is a very relatable show if you're like 20 somethings trying to figure out your path in life, your career, money's tight. It's like, oh, this is that part has aged a lot better than it should have. I do like the fact that these are adult characters, and a couple of them, you'll never guess which one, are attractive, even, and in their 20s.
You're talking about Sumiyoshi, right?
Oh yeah, no, Sumiyoshi's got that fucking dad bod. He's fucking probably packing.
Yeah, I have to imagine that the characters here were, I know that they were in the original manga, but I think they were, like, supposed to be a stand-in for the average watcher who would, like, you know, be attracted to the wacky shenanigans.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how much of this is manga loyal and how much of this is anime original, and I don't think it even matters.
Okay, I mean, to set the tone for what kind of show this is, literally one of the first jokes involves them trying to kill the original author.
Yeah. And every episode, they have to get his permission to do anything.
I've heard of death of the author, but this is ridiculous. Which, by the way, who plays the original author? Ah, damn it! The cat just jumped up and tried pouncing on my butt. How dare you? Ah!
Who was that? I wrote it down. No, I did not write it down.
Lily,
it was
Lily, no.
Paul Sadello.
Ah, good for Paul. You did a good job playing Rikyo Koshi.
So, the civil servants in the show, first we've got the hot redhead, who is Misaki Matsuda.
She is genuinely really hot. Like, I know it's like in 90s, 2000s. I'm like, no, actually, she's pretty fucking fun.
In case you people out there were wondering, what character did Andrew think was attractive? Well, I'll give you 5 guesses, and your first 4 don't count.
Fair enough.
But we can't just have Misaki here. We've also got Toru Watanabe. He's arguably the more normal of the male trio, because there's 3 guys in this group.
He is the straight man,
all about the
compared
same
to everybody
age.
else.
Oh, very straight, because he's the one who's got a crush on Hyatt.
He's also the dating
sim
sim protagonist.
That's true, he is.
That's why he's the normal
that's one member. Now, when you've got a normal one in the group, you're also going to need a perverted one, and that's Iwata, who is, he's like the guy who, like, he's not a creep necessarily, but he's the one who, if there's a hot girl nearby, he's going to be
look.
Auga.
For all the shit that you could give Iwata about being the goofy pervert, he is not a literal pedophile. Which, by the way, we are not talking about the literal pedophile tonight.
Yeah, speaking of reference, product of its time, yes, we're not going to talk about the doctor, the scientist who very explicitly has a thing for young
Oh
girls.
my god! Like
Shame on you,
I thought that was
Steph.
like I thought Jet was being slightly facetious when he's like, "Oh, this is a pedophile." No, that's a pedophile. That is a genuine, bona fide, fucking absolutely knows the age of consent in every single state in the United States of America. Pedophile.
Yeah, so we'll skip that. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about that guy. We are going to talk about the third guy in this trio, Sumiyoshi. Like Andrew was saying, he is the more rotund, shorter, dad bod character of the group. But his quirk is not his personality necessarily. It's that he doesn't freaking talk. He says no dialogue. He just gives a straight face to the camera and pop-up text in kanji says what he's thinking, and the audience like just kind of infers what he's thinking. He's basically Ferb from Phineas and Ferb. You just look at him and you just kind of know what he's thinking. And then we're gonna round this last out with Kabu.
Kabaku.
Is it pronounced Kabuku?
I think it's Kabaku.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kabapu. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I have no notes on this guy. But he's basically their boss. He's the mustached individual who leads them. He's their boss and gives them their directions, gives them their Power Ranger suits. He's there.
He also kind of has a funny mustache, and I think he had a ex-friendship with Il Palazzo, which is revealed in the 11th hour.
Yeah, there's that. And I'm also pretty sure he killed everyone in City Hall during his introduction.
As you do, I'm sure.
Anyone who works the job probably wants to. Civil servant work is not supposed to be glamorous. So let's talk about who the actors are in this. And we're going to have fun I'm going to have fun at least, because we're going to cover some actors who, some you'll probably recognize from being around for quite a while. And this is going to be like one of their earlier anime roles in particular. So, of course, we got to talk about Misaki's voice actress. Let's see, it's an ADV dub from the early 2000s, and she's got red hair. Jet, who do you think we should cast for this role?
Lucy Christian.
I don't know. Brittany Carbathy was around, wasn't she?
Oh, I mean, we could do that. We could. But maybe we should cast the one who was the other famous redhead from an ADV dub from the late 90s. Yep, Misaki is voiced by Tiffany Grant, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Now, you probably best know Tiffany Grant as Asuka in Neon Genesis Evangelion, the original dub. Every time I mention NGE in this episode, by the way, it's going to be the original dub, not the Netflix or anything else dub. It's all ADV, folks. But Tiffany's been around for quite a while, not only in this show and Evangelion, but she's done more recent stuff too, like she is Saya in the release of Ushio and Tora. And just for the fun of it, the thing that she keeps popping up as in more recent dubs, she keeps playing all the animals. Like, she plays the seal in Kaleido Star, she plays the rabbit in... he plays the robot in Flip Flappers. Like, she just keeps getting cast as animals in a lot of different things.
Okay, I'm glad you actually had a recent one, because I was going to be like, Noah, Kaleido Star is your recent dub?
Yeah, and here I'm saying to Noah for not bringing up her most recent one. Which, I guess, to be fair, that is a very niche show.
Which one?
Searchy and Dead Coil.
Oh, yeah, that is a more recent one, too. Don't worry, I will mention Deno Coil later in this episode. I am Searchy. I'm gonna murder you.
I've yet to see
Deno Coil's
Deno
a fun
Coil.
show.
I think I own it, though.
We're gonna have you do... Someone on Patreon, recommend that for the next episode. Watanabe is voiced by Jay Hickman. Again, been around for quite a while. We actually talked about him on a not too long ago episode of Princess Tutu, because he plays the character of Muto in that show. Okay, here's a more recent one. He was Floki in Vinland Saga, the newer one that just came out recently. Is that modern enough for you?
Wait, what?
Yes, he is Loki in Vinland Saga. He's pretty good in that show.
I'll take it.
Fair enough. So, Jay Hickman plays the straight man in this group. Perverted Iwata is voiced by Mark X. Laskowski. Another fun name to have around. To me, he will always be Hirano in High School of the Dead, the gun otaku in that show.
Oh, him, yeah.
Yeah, you've heard him before.
Oh, I've definitely seen the name. It's hard to forget somebody whose middle name is X, which genuinely used to be cool until it wasn't.
Rest in peace, Twitter. Except not really, because it's still there. It's just... Anyways, Mark is also, again, more recent stuff. I'm trying to think here. He's Fuji in Domestic Girlfriend, which we covered for Valentine's Day several years ago. And, again, trying to get at a more recent thing here, he plays Kyoji in Ushio and Tora.
Yeah, also, if, like me, you are well-versed in the, 3 or 4 Gintama dubs that exist at this point, he was the Shinpachi in the Sentai one.
Nice.
I haven't seen that.
There's a lot of Gintama dubs that don't play me, man.
That's why I have this. That's why we have this podcast to work through the backlog. We're not going to spend a whole ton of time talking about Sumiyoshi because, like we said, he has no actor. He's just credited as himself in every version of the credits. But I mean, we can't not have him on the screen there. So, I would have loved genuinely if there was an actor who got cast as him at ADV, had no lines, but still got to collect a paycheck for voicing, air quotes, this character. And then lastly, for our mustached boss, we got to mention the legendary Mike Kleinheinz, who is, again, he's not has as much more recent stuff, I don't believe, but if you were watching ADV dubs back in the mid-2000s, you probably heard him, in Full Metal Panic. He played the character of Andri. If you saw the film Lady Death, you heard Mike as Lucifer. And circling it all back around to Princess Tutu again, we talked about Mike in that episode because he plays the Raven in Princess Tutu.
Oh, that's why he sounded familiar. I was like,
okay, I hear it now.
Yeah. So, like I said, fun names for those of us who cut our teeth on DVD releases and pirated streaming of anime back in the mid-2000s. So, Andrew, what do you have any things to say about any of these characters?
I literally do not have anything I can say about Sumiyoshi because I literally do not know what he says throughout 26 episodes.
That's great. That's awesome. And it's kind of incidental. The fun thing is that he's apparently got a Kansai accent, and the subtitles keep pointing out he's got a Kansai accent, which is southern drawl in America.
Oh, that's even funnier to know he supposedly had an accent, and the dub is just hey, we don't have to do shit with him, yay.
So it is kind of funny that aside from that, he probably is otherwise the actual normal one.
He is the closest thing to kind of the straight man. He seems like a chill dude. I feel like I could have drinks with him and hang out with him, while Iwata is just kind of trying to fuck anything with legs, and Watanabe is a simp.
Yeah, speaking of Iwata, I like Mark's performance just fine. He's the one who gets more of the crazier scenes.
He's got some very goofy inflection and performances. He is quintessential capital A anime. He's got main character hair. He's this is a plucky shonen protagonist boy in literally any other show.
Only he doesn't get the girl at the end of this show.
Probably for the best.
So
hey, that means Misaki's available. I'd take her.
We'll get to her. Hold on to your hats for that one.
No, I'm not holding on to my hat. I don't wear a hat. I'm holding on to something else.
Hold on to your mustache, you bearded bastard.
I do have that. What, are you saying you don't have one of those, Noah?
Screw you. I didn't win the genetic lottery, okay?
Damn. It's rough out here.
Damn indeed. Jet, anything on Mark or Iwata's character in general?
I thought Mark was pretty good as Iwata. Like Andrew was saying, definitely has a kind of energy where he would kind of feel like he would be the main character in any other instance. But Mark does a really good job of getting across the constant goofiness. This is the kind of character archetype I would find annoying in most instances. But I think this show is just kind of just zany enough that his presence doesn't feel super overbearing. So I mostly had a good laugh out of his antics.
Yeah, he's a human kind of goofiness. He's not the level of the main characters' goofiness, so yeah, it's good that he keeps that in check. And yeah, I think Mark's just good consistently throughout.
Yeah, so
The-
yeah. I think it also helps that like out of every other, out of like all these guys, he's probably the one who just kind of like completely goes that wasn't happening the most for kind of like being hypocritical.
You're like, hey, you're talking about me being a horn dog, bro. Look at you. You're trying to get the girl who's like just never gonna notice you.
You gave her a wallet, dude. You gave her money. You pervert.
I mean, yeah. There's so many directions I could have gone with that, but then I remembered the show I'm working with, and it's like the logic, the leap in logic is null and void.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, it's nice of a performance on Mark's side of things. It's not the one that stands out the most, and that's not a critique by any means. It's simply, it's good that his performance does not stand out in a way that's distracting. None of the actors we're going to cover here are really distracting.
They're all really good.
Not...
They're all entertaining when they have their 5 minutes of fame, and then the show moves on to the next bit. Like,
yeah, and that definitely goes for Jay Hickman as well, because when he's not playing the giraffe who understands, he's playing our more straight man character in the show, who gets some moments here and there to be a little more energetic, a little more... he has a dream sequence where he's blending all of the shows and movies he's seen together.
which honestly
and he stops
fucking
and says, like,
mood.
this is a dream. No kidding, right?
Bro, I've had those vivid dreams where it's Thanksgiving and suddenly Hinata from Naruto and the Eds from Edda and Eddie are all there too with my extended family. Shit just gets weird like that sometimes.
This show's got a very ask forgiveness, not permission mentality when it comes to just dropping references here and there.
Oh, the show asks forgiveness and not permission, especially in that last episode, let me fucking tell you.
We'll get to
Which,
that.
speaking of which, boy, closest he did to getting his dick to wet that whole show.
There's a reason they didn't air that last episode on television. let me
Gee,
tell you.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you. Let's cover that last episode like more in detail as we get near the end of this,
Fair.
But yeah, the show like benefits well from having these three, from having Watanabe, Wata, and Sumiyoshi as just like something to jump back to give the show a little bit of levity. But their plight is understandable. Like you said, they're just trying to make it through life. They don't know where they want to go with this. But they've got their friend group. They've got their close friend group where they can sit under the kotatsu and watch the New Year's broadcast together, or go out and have drinks after work with friends. And it's like, that gives the show a little bit of grounding that it otherwise would have felt weaker without.
They are the relatable elements compared to literal alien overlords trying to take over the world.
Yeah, I will say I do appreciate the gag where every time they don't have a major appearance in the episode just ends with them just like sitting by the TV screen wondering why they didn't get any screen time.
Yeah, exactly.
That reminds
They do
me
that a
of
couple of
that one
times.
American Dad episode where it's like Haley literally does not talk the entire episode, and they're making a joke about how like Haley literally does not talk the entire episode, and then like in like the last 10 seconds of the episode, boom! Had lines in this episode. Pay me, bitches!
It doesn't quite call as much attention to it as that exact episode.
Yeah, that also reminds me of like a Steven Universe thing where they reused the Nicki Minaj line. They broke the fourth law, and it's like we don't have to pay her for that, right? Okay.
Oh, the show loves breaking the fourth wall. Speaking of which, Mustache Guy loves to look at the camera and just... I think at one episode, it's like the Christmas episode, he's like... It's a commercial, and he's like, you should make 2 deliveries to be on the safe side. Buy more stuff and fund the economy. I don't know why he was needed necessarily, but I'm glad Mike got a paycheck for that, because it was Mike's
voice was delightful as this very strange, quirky, weird boss character, which I basically enjoyed his interactions with almost every other character when he gets moments of screen time. though is definitely like a the gags with Shioji are so.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you wanted, like, I was gonna say, like, this is a product of its time, but like most of it's not.
FBI, open up!
It is just FBI open up. Like, I'm very kind of impressed that there genuinely was like the joke is pedophilia. I was like, oh.
That's all it is. Yes, it's not deep. It's not subversive. It's just he likes little girls, and one of his assistants is one, and he makes his robots look like that.
Oh, it is so.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But again, we don't have to talk about that. We want to talk about Mike. Mike's great gravelly voice, which I guess the benefit of having him in the cast is the rest of the three that we just talked about have like mid-tenor, like mid-20 male
He's like a
voices,
deeper, more
whereas-
mature adult voice compared to the rest of them, which is fair.
Yes, it is. So that's all I really have to say about Mike. Jet, do you have any notes on Mustache Man?
I like this character a lot. I thought he had pretty good amount of presence in the show. Just kind of who like string all these characters along, threatening their paychecks constantly. That's very clearly gathering them together to be very dubious guides and labeling them as civil servants while clearly trying to mold them into Super Sentai heroes. That whole bit was pretty funny.
That's true. Without him, they wouldn't have gotten their Power Ranger suits.
Yeah, and he does get one of my favorite references in the whole show, which is where, like, they're about to perform the Gundam Colony Drop, and he's trying to stop it with machine guns.
Okay, see, like, I knew enough where I'm like, that is literally the colony drop. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of Gundam references in this.
It was pretty, like, I know a lot of Gundam through osmosis, but I'm very much like, okay, yeah, I at least would know this now.
Well, you know what? Talking about the guy's all well and good, but fuck it. Let's talk about Misaki, shall we? We need at least one competent member of the group here, and that is Misaki, who is not only Andrew's pick for Calendar Girl, but is also the one who keeps these guys in line because she's the only one who knows how to get shit done around here.
Yeah.
Bless her for it.
And you can hear a lot of Tiffany's, like, Asuka in there when she gets frazzled. Luckily, the thing I like about her characterization is she's not what I expected, which was going to be like the tsundere gets really mad at characters and they creep on her and then she overreacts to it and then nothing changes.
And I was going to say, there was definitely a version of this show where she did somehow end up winning one, and I'm glad that did not happen.
Yeah, this is not that version.
That's probably the manga.
I think it's because... Well, I think it's more because this show is super aware of the tropes that it's playing with. It calls out the genres, like the detective episode, and the Power Rangers episode, and the all-animal episode, and even calling out the audience's expectations with the fan service episode, where they just cut the guys out entirely to focus on the girls. So I really think that Misaki's treatment was... because, like, it would be too cliche if that had happened, if she'd gotten with one of the guys or it'd become a romantic story. She's just, a very competent civil servant who has a bunch of idiot coworkers.
Just trying to work her 9 to 5, go home, and get her paycheck and respect.
Indeed.
Bless her heart.
And speaking of blessing her heart, yeah, Tiffany's performance, a lot of fun to hear. I don't hear Tiffany as much these days in, like, newer stuff, so it's really refreshing to hear her delivery. It's like, it has a distinct pitch when she's speaking. She can cover a wide range of emotions, but it's always with a level of confidence that I really like hearing when she gets to speak. Yeah, this was a very suited character to her exact style of acting.
Yeah, no, she is a very fun, charming... She's probably one of the more low-key characters, despite her having some fun, goofy moments, too. I like the fact that she basically gets to be part of the Aliens parody episode, and she just fucking, like, hacks a fucking bear in half. And if that's a
Well, yeah,
tongue-
she had to be the Sigourney Weaver of that episode.
Oh, bless her heart. I'd let her. Yeah, that was going places.
Keep it in the pants, man. Keep it in the pants.
No,
There
that
is a
thing's
cat
gonna
watching.
rip out like a fucking face hugger. Swear to Christ.
Think of Lily. Think of Lily.
Oh, why would you say that? No.
I'm saying, like, think of the innocent cat nearby. She doesn't need to be that traumatized yet.
Oh. Fuck it.
She's got her.
How dare you
You're
use
snuggling.
my children against me when I want to think about hot anime babes?
I have ammunition.
I thought we were
I'm gonna
friends.
Use it. You play nice, and I'll post cute pictures of my puppy as a response.
Oh, yes, please. Please, thank you. I want to see that goofy grin.
So, any other thoughts on anyone in this group here that, again, serves a functional purpose, but the acting isn't really the thing on this?
This is a solid ensemble cast that are all exceptional comedic elements that really add to the overall ensemble as a whole, and I think they're all welcome additions to the show as itself, and all get some pretty fun standout moments too.
Well
And
said.
then there's Sumiyoshi,
Yeah.
who I assume is funny, but because of the way I watched it, I can't prove is funny.
I love the mental image of, like, having gone through the whole show and just having one character whose dialogue is muted the whole time. You see the lips moving, you know they're saying something, but you just don't know what they're saying throughout the whole show.
A modern day take of Excel Saga would just have that same bit, but in the last episode, oh shit, sorry guys, my mic was muted. Oh shit, that was a great episode. Wait, I think my mic was muted.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. There was a second there where I also couldn't tell if you were doing a bit or not.
Okay, no, right now I am doing a bit. I would never say that for realsy to fuck with you. I'm just saying that would be a great way to start this episode is...
Yeah.
And then fuck! And then Will of Macrocosms fixes it, and then we just get the actual start.
I'm ready to move on to what we're going to call... we're moving on from civil servants over to the recurring weird girls segment. We got 3 girls who were... well, girls in quotation marks. None of them are actually humans, so... I guess the
Toasters
gender
can
is
be
kind of up for
women
debate.
too, god damn it.
Yeah, I've seen the Brave Little Toaster. I'm well aware of that.
Oh my god, I was
But-
talking about Aigis, you fucking... Play a video game, for fuck's sake.
Watch an 80s cartoon, for God's sake.
Alright, bet! Recommend or die, motherfucker.
You know, fine. Fuck it. For those people who don't know, we're in a Discord chat where we have monthly recommend or die face-offs. You don't have to be in a duel, but fuck it. I'm doing a duel with this guy. He's going to recommend a video game. I'm going to give him an obscure 80s cartoon he's never heard of before, and we will see who dies on this recommendation.
I don't know when. My calendar might still be filled. So let me pencil in an appointment, and then I can battle you to the death, okay?
I'm going to make a new month just to fit this in. But before we get to that, we got to talk about the will of the macrocosm. Macrocosm.
Oh my god. Macrocosm.
Yes, that is exactly what I said. You heard no wrong. It's like this spinning wheel of space with 2 ladies' arms and occasionally a pair of lips on it, whose main job in the show is to reset the plot or bring people from death back to life just so we can keep the story going. That's an actual character in the show. That is the weirdest character in the show in terms of, like, character creation.
I have a genuine question for both of you.
Oh?
Is the will of the macrocosms a femme fatale?
It shouldn't be
Probably.
the opposite. Well, no, because it doesn't bring someone's fatality. It brings someone's resurrection. So it should be a femme resurrection.
She literally is kind of the reason Pedro is a ghost.
Well, when you put it that way.
Yeah, she's a femme fatale. It also nearly gets him double killed because of that man. Yeah, no, she's a femme fatale. I'm sticking to it.
Perfect. Then fine, answer the next question. Is Ropponmatsu Unit 1 a femme fatale?
No.
I wouldn't say so.
No, she's
The
just
answer
a
is no.
robot girl.
Okay, good. I was going to say that no, she's not. So if you answered incorrectly, we were going to punch you into the circle.
No.
So, yeah.
There are not people literally dying because they want to fuck her. No.
I mean, if anything, she keeps dying.
She keeps dying because Iwata keeps wanting to fuck her. Yeah, that is true. So, reverse fatale there.
Either way, from what I understand, this was a character in the manga. It's that skeezy scientist guy who we mentioned before created this robot girl, just this robot woman, to join the civil servants group, and well, we won't explain exactly what happens to her, but screw it, she dies. She dies in her very first episode. Is brought back to life.
She gets better,
but she doesn't need to, but she's fine, but she could be improved upon. And by improved upon, I mean turned into jailbait, which is where we get the second robot in this group, Robanmatsu Unit 2, who is just a younger version of the same character with a very annoying Lolita design to her. And those two characters stick around throughout the show. They may die a couple of times, but they will get better.
I mean, don't we all?
And we're gonna... No, we don't all get better. My grandparents are not getting any better and haven't been for 10 years.
That went in a direction I was not expecting. Goodness gracious.
I don't know where you were going with that.
I don't know where you were going with that. I was going with the gag of like, oh hey, don't you also die in an explosion and then you're fine in the next episode? And you're like, my grandparents haven't been fine for years. What the fuck were you going with that?
I'm just saying, robots get better, cartoon characters get better, we do not.
No, who plays these people?
So who voices these characters? Good question. All right, Will the I'm trying to say macro.
Just say Miss Will.
No, I'm gonna say it right here. Macrocosm. Macrocosm. Will of the Macrocosm. I went to public school. Thank you very much. Okay, she is voiced by Kelly Manison. Now, you guys go ahead and correct me if you think differently, but that's a name that I only know from late 90s, early 2000s releases.
I'll be honest,
if you've seen...
I don't actually know what she's done.
Oh, okay. Same, Jet?
Same.
Oh, okay. Here, let me give a couple titles you may have heard of before. D.N. Angel. She voices the character of Emiko in that show. I'm willing to bet, because of what I know about my two guys here, that they probably haven't seen D.N. Angel.
I read the Tokyo Pop manga in my local middle school library.
Wow, really?
It was the first volume, but I did read it. I don't remember shit.
Am I safe in assuming... Yeah, am I safe in assuming that it was due to limited selection that you picked that volume?
They had a better selection, I think you would have expected, but I was curious, and there was a girl I knew who read it. That's why I picked it up.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's keep that train going then. Speaking of manga that you may have read in your local middle school, Angelic Layer. You guys seen that show?
We
did cover it way back when.
Yeah, no, you should know that. I was on that episode with you.
I bring that up because Kelly plays a smaller character named Shoko in that show. She's kind of a big sister character, and the reason I think that's funny is because in the continuity of Clamp's series, Shoko is the older sister of Kokobunji from Chobits. She was basically the inspiration for what would become a robot character in that show. And ironically, she's not playing a robot in this show. And just to round it out for what stuff Kelly has done, I know her best from playing Naga the Serpent in the Slayers movies.
Oh.
Not the TV show, because Naga didn't show up in the TV show, but ADV dubbed all of the Slayers movies and OVAs that came out before Revolution. And yeah, Kelly played the character of Naga in that series.
Okay, see, I've seen all the TV version of Slayers. I have not seen the OVAs.
They're not easy to find. Like, I'm sure you can find the DVD releases, but yeah, they're definitely less readily available than the TV series.
Makes sense.
All right, let's move on then over to Ropponmatsu Unit 1. The bigger robot is voiced by Kelly Cousins. This is definitely an actress who hasn't been as active since the mid-2000s. If you saw Princess Nine, which gets referenced quite a bit in this show, you may have heard her as Sierra. If you saw the Bottom Barrel series Steel Angel Kurumi, you may have heard her as the lead Kurumi in that show. But of course, I'm going to be very disappointed in my bros here if they haven't heard her in Kino's Journey, because she voices the character of Kino.
Oh,
which is the,
that's why
thing
she's
that I know her most from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I had seen a few episodes of Personal Kino's Journey. That was a good
Perfect.
time.
Well, we're gonna get you to watch the whole thing one of these days. So we got Kelly playing mature robot, and then playing younger robot, we got a name that I know you guys have heard of before. We got Kira Vincent Davis.
Very familiar, yes.
Yep, definitely very familiar with that one.
Mm-hmm. Also been around for a while, like not just this show, but also Asuka in Azumanga Daioh, Nana in the dub for Golden Time, and I was looking to see if she's been in like more recent stuff, and the thing that stood out to me was that she's in the dub for Love Flops, not as one of the main girls, but as the alarm clock loverin, the rabbit-shaped alarm clock in that show. That's Kira Vincent Davis.
Cool.
She's still getting cast a lot of recent stuff.
Right. So, anyways, so we grouped these three together here. Will is definitely the one who is the most like, what the hell is going on here? But Kelly's performance of that is like you said, Andrew, it's definitely a femme fatale kind of voice, and it's also the same voice as Pedro's wife in both the dub and the sub.
I'm gonna be real with you. When they dropped that on me in the show, I genuinely laughed my ass off and had to look it up, and I was like, holy shit, it is the same one! I don't even think she had a name. I think she was just
Two different women.
I think she was just sexy wife throughout the whole show. That's
all. Didn't even get a name.
That's so fucking funny, dude. That's genuinely really funny.
So Kelly basically has the fun role of the ephemeral voice of trying to bring people back to life, or rescuing them from flam pudding at the bottom of the ocean, or just the resurrector for the whole show.
She is
no real explanation as to like how she knows Il Palazzo or Pedro or any of the characters.
I
she
just
is.
assumed she was just going to be how the show reset, and then she became a full character. And then she fucked Pedro, and then there was so much going on with Will. Also, like, I think she ends that show having Pedro's baby.
Yeah, that when you put that in the chat, I was like, wait, because it had been a while since I'd rewatched the show, and I was like, is that what happened? Because I don't remember that. Although there's a lot of the show that's hard to remember.
Like, it's literally like the credits
Like
at the end of the TV show, and then there was one reset, and then you see the little baby macrocosm that she's chasing after.
I mean, it could be Pedro's kid. It could be the other guys.
Okay, hey. Give him respect. His name is That Man, and he is a very intimidating antagonist of the Guilty Gear series.
You'll forgive me for not knowing that.
I know you don't fucking know that because you don't play video games, you fucking bitch-ass casual.
Hey, I played Minecraft very, very well, thank you.
Oh my god, no, you're killing me. Alright.
Sorry. Jet, take away from Kelly's portrayal as the resurrector with a deep, sultry voice.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun. I thought she did a lot of what she needed to, as far as, as far as being the character who kind of has to rein everyone in and stop trying to keep them all from, like, dying too much. And then just, like, the entire Saga with Pedro was just... That was really beautiful. Just her kind of, like, helping to string him along that part of his journey was really funny.
It helps that Kelly's direction is to play it straight. Like, she never lampshades the material that she's given. So that that's what makes it funny is, you've got this ridiculous concept and the actress is just playing it dead straight.
I think that's what makes it work, is that she is playing it like legit sincere, and that's what makes it really funny.
Yeah. Just if you can make a comic and you've got this weird idea, do it. Don't think about the logic. Don't think about, is someone gonna like this or not. No, just do it. Just make the reset button of the universe a character, and that's how we're gonna get our show. Also, if you want to make robot characters, do that. Put robots in your show. Otaku love that shit.
God. Yeah, just...
Yeah, Kelly's...
genuinely fucking really funny. Genuinely a really strange, really funny character that has no lip flaps for most of the show, except for when she's giving Pedro ghost CPR, where they give her, like, really luscious red lips. It's like, oh my god. It works, and it's so fucking strange. It's just like, life is strange like that. And it's like, oh, Pedro, Mr. P, oh. And she also does a really good job playing Pedro's sexy wife. Oh, what a weird fucking character. Kelly did an incredible job playing what I can only describe as the most unique voice acting credit on her resume. Anyways, now that we've talked about Kelly, let's talk about Kelly.
I think the direction for Kelly Cousins was probably to also play more of a straight character, because while she
I just assumed Kudere robot girl.
Good job on correcting yourself there. Yeah, I guess this would fit into the Kudere archetype. It's it's very funny how they kill off the character, and right away the producers are like saying, please bring this character back to life.
We made all the
20,000
figures.
We've got to it's too late to go back.
That's a pretty funny bit. It's like, oh, I guess we made a bajillion of them. Lol.
Yeah, this show is shameless about it.
Oh, this show has no shame. It is not afraid to pull everything out of its asshole. It doesn't care how smelly it is.
It's a pretty big asshole. Now, I don't really have so many notes about Kelly's actual performance, because of all the characters we talked about here, she probably gets the least amount of fun lines. Like, her delivery is very... is more the straight man to Kira's performance, because they do kind of get paired up in this show. And I think that's not a bad thing, that Kelly's directed to be more of the straight man. It contrasts with the absurdity of, she's a robot. She's can be brought back to life, reconstructed. We thought she was dead. We even had a little funeral for her. But yeah, I don't have as many notes as most of the other characters we'll talk about.
I was gonna say, I thought she was fine. I thought the funny joke in the show was when she felt a little bit high for like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
That was probably the funniest bit she got.
Yeah, there's a lot that happened in the show that I don't think I retained all of it. And that's just how the show is. Like, 1 minute you could think you're paying attention and you blink, and all of a sudden there's a robot panda and you don't know where that came from. Is it black with white spots, or is it white with black spots?
It'd be like that.
Andrew, any thoughts on Kelly Cousins?
I think that she does a really good job playing the quiet, cute little robot girl. I think she is a very fun little addition. I think she's kind of like she doesn't get as much presence compared to the rest of them because she's a mid-show addition. But I think she's fun, and I think she's got a cool design and character.
Right. No more needs to be said than that.
And then there's number 2, which is just... that is the loud, ganky little girl, robot girl that you have seen in another show. She calls you big brother or big sister. She is loud. She is anime. If Iwata is capital A anime, Ropponmatsu number 2 is anime!
with all uppercase and an extra tilde over the E.
I think I scared Steph in the other room. Anyways, I think I've made my point clear. Kira is delightful as this strange, fucking weird robot girl. It's kind of the same problem as her older sister, is that she's kind of a mid-show introduction, and she's a little goofy, but by that point, the goofiness has already settled in, and you at least know what to expect with most of them, so new additions is a hard sell by that point.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that you've kind of gotten assimilated to the weirdness, because in going into the show, because I had the same problem when I first started it, was that it took a few episodes to kind of get into it. I was like, this feels more like a strain, a struggle to enjoy. But once I kind of picked up on the pattern they were going with, where every episode is kind of a send up to a different genre, I was like, all right, I can get into that. So it's like
took
each
me
one
a
is like a
bitch
mini
to really start working with it too. So I get that completely.
Yeah. So yeah, by the time that Kira shows up, her energy is, I suppose it's kind of a nice addition to just remind us how odd the show is and how of the time it is too. This is definitely, because we don't really have this in anime anymore. You know, we don't have slice of life shows where robot characters just kind of get written into the main cast, unless your show is called Nichijou,
which is objectively a perfect show. Go watch it.
Objectively. Sure.
Oh, okay.
No. We had a whole 3 episode on that show to hash out our thoughts. That we don't need to bring it back.
We won't. But I did forget about that, so now I have to consider killing you.
That's fair. I'll be brought back to life. That's all right. I'm good buddies with Will over here.
The only reason that I spare your life is I would feel bad making orphans out of your children.
Now I got an urge to watch Hamilton. I'm sorry. Jet, did you have thoughts on Kira's performance?
What the fuck is tonight, dude?
Let's say, I thought she was fun, like you guys think. I thought she did the whole, like, Genki, like, Coyote thing really well. Definitely very goofy, and definitely very goofy and silly. If there's one thing that kind of raised an eyebrow, it's not even about her, it's just kind of like one weird joke in the show where they have the weird joke where she deflowers Excel, and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, that definitely is great.
Yeah. I think I blocked that part out because I'm like, I don't really need to remember the part where the characters were like ripping clothes off of each other, or that whole episode where they pair up Excel and Hyatt with the robot girls. Again, product of its time.
That was the movie that was like, that's definitely showing its age. But aside from that, I not see what. Aside from that, and not thinking too hard about why she was made, otherwise a fun time.
Yeah. I do think that the robot characters help with allowing us to have some wackier scenarios with, explosions and unpractical laser beams, or I did enjoy the episode where they like, what did they do? They robbed a bank and gave it to Excel. It's like, here's all the money you need. Praise me. And that leads to a police standoff. The police don't fuck around. But aside from that, I'd argue that this trio here is the least necessary, if you want to...
Oh, fuck you! Miss Will is objectively one of the most important characters in the show.
I mean, yes.
I will agree with you with the Ropponmatsus, but I think Will is a very strange welcome addition that I'm just like, okay, yeah, you are the type. You know what she reminds me of? Chet?
What? Because I'm trying to figure out.
Chet, do you remember the fucking missile in Bobobo with the sexy lips?
Vaguely.
She looks like the missile in Bobobo. The one that shows up in the intro. In that one guy's hair.
See, I'm glad you mentioned Bobobo, because that's exactly what this show was reminding me of.
You said it wrong. It's Bobobo.
No, it's Bobobo.
Oh my god.
Did you watch the show when it was airing on Cartoon Network?
I watched it when it was airing. How dare you question me?
I will continue to question
I
you.
was gonna say, bless that show. Truly one of Returning Power's most immaculate performances.
I did not get that show when it aired, for the record. It was definitely something I was like, this is stupid. And now I'm like, this is stupid, and it's great.
Okay, it's the difference between this is stupid, derogatory, versus this is stupid, affectionate.
Fair. I mean, like, yeah, on the one end, you've got that. I'd say that the show that has a similar energy, but that I dislike, is, like, Pawnee Pony Dash. I really don't like that show.
Which, speaking of, isn't there literally an advertisement for Pawnee Pony Dash at the end of this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's not the Shaft show. It's the spin-off of this that got its own OVA.
Wait. That's connected?
Not Pawnee Pony Dash, but Puni Puni Pomi, however you pronounce it. Yeah, they reference it throughout the show. They reference. Remember?
I remember the
manga
Fist
creator
of the
throughout
North
show.
Star episode where they all turn into ponies or ponies. Or...
Yeah, no, not the no, that's Digikarat. They turn into Digikarat characters, and when the character dies in the Fist of the North Star episode.
God, anime is so fucking stupid.
Yeah, there's a lot of references to, like, currently popular stuff. Man, if you people weren't there at the time, Digikarat ruled the world. Like, whatever you think is, like, the most oversaturated, overexposed show today, Digikarat was, like, 10 times that back in the day. Well, I think we've beaten these robots and this will to the ground. I think we guys good to go on to our next trio.
Okay, I gotta ask. What do you think it feels like?
Well...
What do you think galactic pussy feels like?
You ever jumped out of a plane?
You know what? I can't say that I have.
Well, that's probably the closest comparison I can think of. It's probably a lot like, no solid ground and a whole lot of... Just like a wind current just flowing up into your urethra. Yep, that's probably what it's like. Further research is needed on this, but we're gonna shelve that so we can move the hell on from whatever the heck.
All right, let me know how skydiving sex night goes for you, buddy.
You got to join us in the Mile High Club, man.
Yeah, I gotta say, I did not expect to come into the Excel Saga episode talking about swinging, but you know what? Okay.
Then your expectations are way too low. You should have set them way higher before you hit record.
Okay, I'm already regretting this bit.
Excellent. So, now that we talked about some of the other bit parts in here, we're going to move into the three main male characters in the show. The three of them don't really have connections to each other, but I think we can all agree that they are of equal importance in the show. We're going to talk about the boss of Across. I didn't mean to rhyme there. Il Palazzo, who is the heavily armored shoulder pad motherfucker who keeps killing Excel, and he's just trying to take over the city of F and then the world, and doesn't know why he's doing it.
The world is corrupt and full of, like, honestly, when you think about it, he makes some compelling points. Like, yeah, the world is fucked. Just take it.
It's basically like he makes a good point, but like it's also pretty clear that like for as much as he berates Excel, he's also not particularly great at his job.
He's not great at his job. He just sits in his chair and then plays with his visual K-band.
But yeah, he has a... I love the visual novel parts. I mean, yes, he has a good point about how the world is corrupt. He's just not the guy to fix it.
Because he doesn't really go out into the world. He just stays in his chair all day.
Indeed.
He's like Eustace from Courage the Cowardly Dog. No, Excel, I am not getting out of this chair.
Oh, heck no. No, you do not insult Eustace like that. That is...
Are you telling me that you don't like Il Palazzo?
I do not like Il Palazzo. He is not a favorite character from the show.
Interesting.
You know how you were mentioning you didn't like the Menchi always being in danger thing? I wasn't really a fan of the torture that he put Excel through all the time. Even if she is a moron, she didn't deserve that.
You're like, I don't care for the whole, oh, you're an idiot, so I'm going to send you down a hole because you annoy me thing. That's fair.
Yeah. Now, the character who is probably the most important character in the show, though, is Nabashin, the director of the anime.
Okay,
yeah,
it
he's
took
a
me
character in the show.
I made it halfway through the show before it literally spelled out Nabashin is the director of the show.
To which I have a fun thing there, but continue with the introduction.
All right, I'll let you. Yeah, when you've got that, let me know, and you will have the floor. But yeah, just to add to the absurdity of this, the show breaks the fourth wall a lot. We see the production of the anime. We see the original mangaka as characters in the show. Nabashin is like a recurring character with an afro who just keeps popping up throughout the series.
He dresses up like part 2 Lupin. Part 2 is the red coat, right?
No, part 1 is green coat. Part 2 is red coat.
Yeah, I said part 2.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, part 2 is the good series with the red coat.
Okay. So yeah, he dresses up like part 2 Lupin, and he's got the afro, and he's got a will they, won't they relationship with a southern girl that wants to feed him or something. And he also has a scorned, loving relationship with not the girl from Galaxy Express 999.
Yeah.
And,
so...
Her name is Maytel, thank you very much. You want to get your young otaku up to par?
Yeah, so, very fun fact. Would you believe me if I told you this is actually not the only show in which Nabashin appears?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not surprised. So tell me, what is the other show where Nabashin is a character?
So obviously he's a character in Puri Puri Poor Baby, because of course he is. But he makes other appearances in Keiichi the Combat Butler, Skeet Dance,
really?
Chiboyu GXP, and To Be Hero.
Oh my god!
I really gotta give I am really impressed. Like, the director made his own literal self-insert, and he just put him in multiple shows.
If I look up Nabashin on my anime list right now, I need to corroborate this to see if this is legit. All right, so Brett.
I literally have the A&M page pulled up.
Oh my god, you're correct. He's in fucking Gravitation, Naruma Daikon Brothers, Nyanko.
Yeah,
He's in Sket Dance. Okay, that. He has 10 anime appearances. My god.
Yeah, if you were a director, would you not, if you could get away with it, put yourself in the show that you were directing?
I feel like people would be mad at me.
I feel like it's only in a show like this where you can really get away with that.
That's true.
God.
So, yeah, I guess this is kind of an origin of species for that recurring character.
I cannot believe that.
And to
That's
round
so
out this
funny.
To round out this trio, we're going to talk about... Okay, I joked Nabashin's the most important character. No, the actual star of the show. The one who has an arc. The one who goes through hell and high universe. We got to shout out Pedro. We got to shout out Pedro!
No, I don't.
Please. Yeah.
I say that as your friend. I understand. It's really tempting. It is very tempting. Don't do it, dude.
I'm just gonna use it to mock the the accent they use, which again, product of its time.
Absolutely a product of its time, but like
quibbles.
It is very much like Jeff Dunham-esque, if that makes sense.
That's
never been a compliment.
To quote one Spaceman Hardy, you'll laugh but you'll hate yourself.
Yes. That being said, the voice is one thing, the performance is another, and the character of Pedro is the most. I cannot believe I was so fucking engrossed in every single thing about Pedro and his journey to be reunited with his sexy wife and son, Sandora.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, and this wasn't in the original show. Like, they continuously point out, like, this is an anime exclusive part. It doesn't tie into the main story, aside from a couple of crossovers with some of the characters. Like, he meets Excel in the first episode. His son meets Excel in another episode.
Okay, you're a little... Okay, it doesn't have any immediate intersection until, like, the final episode, because, technically speaking, he does defeat the actual boss of the cross.
That's true. They were playing the long con there. They were banking
I cannot
on...
believe that the boss of a cross was that man. That's so stupid, but I really like that.
So let's cover over who voices these guys. All right, so Il Palazzo is voiced by Jason Douglas. I know him personally from the show Yugo the Negotiator. He plays Yugo. Another show that... what's fun about Jason Douglas is that he kind of jumps between Houston and Dallas dubs. So he was in the dub for Psycho-Pass. He was Tomomi in that show.
Masaoka.
And he's, again, going back to Funimation, he voices the character of Claude in Black Butler, just to name a few things he's been in.
Alright.
Nabashin is voiced by Brett Weaver, name that, again, I keep saying they've been around a while, and also kind of jumps between studios, so we've heard of him in quite a few things. Bring it back around to Neon Genesis Evangelion, he plays Toji in that show. You may have also seen him in Space Patrol Luluko. He plays the, I think he's like the hard-nosed detective character of Keiichi in that show.
I think he's her dad.
Like, I saw the characters... Is that who Keiichi... I've seen the show a while
ago. It's been a bit. I think he plays her dad.
That's probably who it is. Yeah, so it's Luluko's dad in Space Patrol Luluko. And to give another shout out to Ushio and Tora, he actually is elite. He's the voice of Tora in that show.
God, Ushio Tora is really good. I gotta rewatch that one of these days.
So I've heard. And then Pedro. Oh boy, this is the most... like pull on your collar, like
look.
Kind of.
We know when this was dubbed. We know. I had a feeling as soon as I saw this character, he was going to be played by a white guy. It's the style at the time. I'm not gonna beat it up too much for what it was.
It's not the only white actor playing an accent in this show, but it's the most pervasive one. So yeah, we're not gonna give Rob Mungle grief for that. It's obviously how he was directed, and it was trying to match the voice of the original Japanese. So it is what it is. But Rob is been in a couple of things you may have heard of, like he is Bill Collins in Gunsmith Cats. I think that's the detective character I was thinking of when I was putting this cast list together. But he's also been in a couple more recent things, like he's Subaru in Food Wars. That's the chef who like copies everyone's recipes. Yeah, and he like improves upon it, and yeah, he's like he becomes a good guy later, but he's a villain when you first meet him. And also to bring it around to a personal favorite, he plays Kikuchi in Mr. Tonagawa Middle Management Blues.
Nice.
I'm just so happy that in the time between when we record an episode on that show and now that they have actually released the Keiichi show in English. That makes me very happy.
Yeah, we still need season 2's that die.
Small victories, man. Small victories.
Mm-hmm. True enough.
So we're going to hold off on Pedro for last here because I know thoughts are rampant in here. Let's just quickly go over Brett Weaver's Nabashin.
Oh, he's great. He has got a lot of charm, moxie, and he's just very strange.
Yeah, that basically sums it up. But Brett sounded like he was having fun, and the character just kind of pops up here and there, and it's like honestly, when you kind of mention like the adult character who's I suppose fills the role of necessary older male, I don't think of Kabupu. I think of this guy. I think of Nabashin. He was like filled the role I think other people look at Mustache Man for.
I thought he was pretty fun. Definitely a very interesting bit of intersection between him in between him kind of like being a character within the show as just kind of like screwing around, occasionally like lending aid to other characters like Pedro, or just appearing in his own random plots. And then just bits where he actually was just kind of like the actual director of the show, trying to keep everything in line, or like complaining about how everything was going wrong with production. I thought that was pretty fun.
I genuinely did not know he was like a real person until they just told me. I was like, oh my god, this is... I just thought he was very like a strange, goofy character, and it's like, oh, he is just the director. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially because at some point he just is like a mentor and a sensei, and literally trains Pedro to become an Afro warrior along with his son Sandora.
Yeah, Also, knowing he's the director does make it pretty funny that he's a character who just kind of appears on screen the most.
Hang on, I gotta look. Oh my god, he just looks like that. He just looks like
oh,
that.
Yeah. There's no doubt. Just complete with the afro and everything, right?
Some part of me thought the afro was maybe just a visual No, he commits. He's got an actual afro.
Yeah.
Good.
My favorite little bit that Brett gets to do is it's right before the American animation episode where it's the cold opening where it's like, I give permission to turn this into an American style animation, and then it jump cuts to Nabashin in a recording studio shouting at the mangaka, "You suck!"
There's a nice level of animosity between Rikido Koshi and Nabashin and his staff. I like the fact that they literally are like forcing him to agree to things against his will at some point during the show, and it's like, all right, yeah, another recap episode. Let's go get drunk.
I'm gonna drink till I puke. I'm gonna puke till I drink.
God. And then the fucking end of the show is, what the fuck did you agree to?
Oh,
Go
ahead.
And I was gonna say I also got a pretty good bit about with the joke at the start of the last episode where Excel was trying to make it into a musical.
Which that was a pretty good bit too. By the way, Noah, I have a question for you. Have you looked into any other works from the author of Excel Saga?
No. I'm afraid I have not.
So here's a fun fact for you. There is one other thing I think you would know that Rikido Koshi has done. And I found out he is not the writer of this, but he was the artist of the original manga and did the original character designs for Pandora in the Crimson Shell.
Oh, I've already... I think I was on the episode where we covered that.
I know. So, in case you want to know what he's done since, he did another show about Moe robot girls.
You know, I think we actually mentioned that on that episode, and it's been so long, and I cared so little about that show, that I'd completely forgotten that the selling point for it was from the author of Excel Saga, or from one of the creators of Excel Saga.
The other thing I remembered is they literally took one of his original doujins and just made that part of the show. It's an adult-only Sentai doujinshi manga called Municipal Force Dai Tenzin.
Yeah, I think they it's hard to tell how much of the humor about like pandering to the otaku market, or we're so far behind, or like this show it doesn't even get that good at ratings, was self-deprecating humor, and how much of it was the actual viciousness of broadcast standards in Japan at the time.
This show literally could not be made in the way it was today, ever. You could not get away with any of this. Not even in the sense that this is too immature or too risque. No, you could literally not get something like this where you go this fucking off the beaten path with the manga.
Probably not. But I'm honestly glad
I'm glad it exists because this is a fascinating little time capsule of a time long before, and it's very charming and delightful. And Brett Weaver at Nabashin is fucking incredible, and I love how goofy he basically just becomes part of the plot at some point, and I think it's delightful. Nabashin is great as a recurring wandering character.
Now, the character who's actually driving the plot, although they feel less significant than they probably should, is Il Palazzo. All hail Il Palazzo! So Jason gets the fun job of never has to be goofy, unlike all the other characters we talked about, or even the straight man character. Jason just gets to be not monotone, because that's...
I would
that's,
disagree. Here's what I'm going to fight you on. I don't think it's that he never gets to be goofy. I think it's that he is never trying to be goofy. Because the reality is, Il Palazzo is a very silly and goofy character, and Jason Douglas really gets some very fun, standout, quirky deliveries throughout the show.
Sure.
But I could at least say I don't think the character is attempting to be, but I think he gets his own fun scene-stealing moments too.
I think one of the funniest bits with him is just like him trying to play his visual novels. And just like him complaining about the options, specifically on the bits where he like has to deal with the Excel character, and he's just clearly annoyed.
It do be like that.
Yeah, the honestly, you guys have seen the movie Airplane, right?
I've seen Airplane. Yeah, I love Airplane.
This reminded me a lot of a Leslie Nielsen character, someone who is playing the scenario completely straight, but they're in a farcical world.
That's so on point. Wow. Yeah, I see it. I see it completely.
So,
don't call me Shirley.
I have to, of course, quote by quote. Jason's Jason handled what he was supposed to do here very well. I have to wonder if like he was listening to the other actors who got to be more silly and more off the walls and just kind of lamenting, "Aw, I've got to be the dad energy character throughout this show." Aw.
I'd argue that he found his fun and he made his fun whenever given the possibility to. If anything, that just means he didn't lose his voice. More on that later.
I see the most where you really do get to see Il Palazzo be like kind of goofy in a way that's like, okay, well not like intentional, but more like you actually get to see him like break character a bit. It's when Chris Patton's visual character shows up and he's just like clearly annoyed at how hot he is.
He's annoyed by how hot he is. It's like, oh, you fucking fucker, die.
That's great.
You think you're so cool, but you're so fake and all that. And then it turns out he's also actually really secretly into Visual K bands and he wants to be in a rock band.
I completely forgot about that. And you just see him flashback trying to play his
Visual
little guitar.
aesthetic. And then he gets to rock out with the cocks out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The way you can tell what time the show was made was when they had all those Visual K guys, and they had all those dudes with mohawks, and like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make those guys sound like the Beatles for some reason.
It's such a very specific, strange bit because it's like, all right, is anybody gonna understand that this is Visual K? No, they're British.
No.
Fuck you.
Yeah, again, one of those ways that you could have the subtitles on screen to kind of explain like what this is, but nope, we'll just try to translate in English.
See that one, I at least comprehended what they were going for because his name is literally Key, and I'm familiar enough with like what Visual K is as an aesthetic that I just picked it up.
But in 2002, probably wasn't as well known over here.
Oh, 100%.
To the point that, yeah, like you said, they had to make the Mohawk characters with A, B, C written on their faces British to try to get the joke across.
I do enjoy how they literally transformed into like a Visual K band.
So Brett's great, Jason's great, and honestly, Rob is great.
As much as I
Rob
want
gives
to,
so much energy.
That's the problem. I want to like shake my head in disappointment and ho-hum about it. It's really good, and that's the part I hate. Is like, oh no, he's actually really good and really funny. Fuck.
Yeah, so the part, in case we haven't made it clear yet, the problem is that the accent and the delivery is very, very racist.
Oh,
like there are levels of racism. you got like Speedy Gonzalez is okay. It's a kind of archetypal, but it's not offensive. Pedro is kind of pushing the line. It is, like you said, Andrew. It's kind of in that Jeff Dunham category where it's like you're only laughing, but you will feel bad about it.
I think what makes it work past the kind of racist caricature of the voice that they give him is the fact that they genuinely make Pedro a shockingly compelling character that you want to root for.
And that's the thing. His arc is all about he went to Japan for money for his family, and while he was gone, he kind of lost his family to another guy.
And then he died.
Then he had to come back to life, and the whole B plot, not even B plot, the C plot of the show is him just trying to regain what he lost.
It is like, it has all of the energy. I want to know if Shinichi Watanabe has was just watching telenovelas before he started working on Excel Saga, and he's like, all right, Koshi, baby, I got an idea. Roll with me on this one.
And if you say no, screw it. I'm gonna put it in the show anyways.
You have given me a do what I want card. Let's have fun with this.
I think we want to sell this time slot, right?
Also,
we'll do whatever it takes.
Also, I need to shout out that I actually went from being like, this show is so fucking stupid, to, okay, this is stupid in a lot of the ways I really liked. I feel like not every joke worked for me, but everything about Pedro hit because it was so absurd. And it was played very, sincere and earnest that it's you wanted to root for Pedro to get his wife back and to get his family back and to win and make it work. And then he gets a father. I cannot stress this enough. At the end of the show, him and Sandora get a father-son Kamehameha, and they call it Nabehameha. And I'm like, that's so fucking good. That's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and the thing I really appreciate is just how that arc just has. I really just appreciate the sheer level of escalation.
It goes from being like, oh no, my wife and family will forget about me, to, oh, I literally need to defeat the leader of this terrorist organization who stole my wife and also my side chick, who is the will of the macrocosms, using the Afro warrior techniques I learned from my master Nabishin, who is dead now because he blew up his stunt double.
It makes me wonder if they hadn't gone with that particular accent, if the delivery would have been how would you handle this in a modern era where that's just not kosher?
Cast a Latino actor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure,
That's it.
but would you have them still have the broken English and the talking in third person?
I think
always referring to
here's
himself
what it
in the
is.
third person.
I do not necessarily think that it is that having a Spanish accent is what makes it problematic. I think it is specifically the fact that it is a Spanish actor says a Spanish accent delivered by a white guy imitating Spanish accents he's heard.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So I think specifically the modernization of the Pedro is that you can do the Spanish inflection and accent, but get a Spanish man to play Pedro. That's how you do it modern day. Simple as that.
Well, like you said, they could probably never do a show like this in the modern era, and probably never in the future.
I legitimately think
I know
it's not because you can't. Here's what it is. It's the whole Blazing Saddles thing. You can't make Blazing Saddles today. Yeah, of course, because Blazing Saddles came out 50 years ago. It already exists.
It's more specifically, I thought you were going more the route of you can't make it today because the wrong people will get mad. Or not the wrong people, but people will get mad at it
No. I know exactly.
Being called out.
The whole Blazing Saddles thing is always a contentious argument, but I always just like to play the. Of course, you can't make Blazing Saddles today. It already exists. If you tried making Blazing Saddles today, they'd be like, "Hey, that's just like the movie Blazing Saddles. That already exists."
Now you say that, Andrew, but are we or are we not living in an era where basically every classic anime is being remade nowadays?
Oh boy. Okay. That's a loaded gun you just put on the table, and I don't think we have the time or the mental fortitude for it. All I want to say is Jason Douglas is a very I think he's a very fun, quirky performance. He's a lot calmer for the show, but he gets some really fun deliveries, especially when he gets a split personality at the 11th hour, and also gets his moments to be goofy. Nabashin and Brett Weaver's delightful, and I hate how much I like Rob Mungall as Pedro Domingo.
Don't.
It really should not work, and yeah.
That's the problem, is like, I want to hoe and hum, but I'm like, he is really good. I hate that.
Yeah, we're all going to confession after this for having liked it. I forgive you, my child. Now, what is your sin? I liked the Pedro in the Excel Saga dub. Oh, to hell with you! Get out of my church.
Okay, look, all of us are old enough that we grew up with 4 kids dubbed with credible accents.
We were just talking about Shaman King yesterday.
That's just one of many examples. Yeah.
Oh, that's one of many.
Yeah. And that version of this dub is going to exist forever. So again, if you're a newbie to this and you're like, do I want to watch this show? Just know that that's in there. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. It's certainly not as offensive as some of the other stuff that is in this show. It's just the thing that sticks out the most.
It is certainly not the worst thing I've ever heard, but it is definitely one of those. It exists in the period that it was made.
Yep.
So I think we're all ready to move on to the final the main trio of the show, the ones who are on all the artwork. So the show's called Excel Saga. Of course, it's got to be about the girl Excel. It's got to be about her best girl Hayat, and it's got to be about her emergency food supply Menchi. This is what we all came for, and oh god, have we got things to say about this, because there's a story here.
I have a question.
So buckle up, folks. This is good.
Because I just pulled up the My Anime list page for this, and I have to ask the three of you right now. Sorry, just posting this right now. Who the fuck is that? Who is that? Is that supposed to be Hyatt?
Probably. Wait, let me check the cup size. Yep, that pairs.
That's Hyatt?
Well, we'll see. They don't have purple in manga. So,
yes,
but
that's like the color. That's the color of the manga, and that is like a brunette.
You've never read the manga for Elfen Lied, have you?
You think I've seen Elfen Lied?
I don't know. Have you?
Somehow no.
Because that's a show where in the anime, all the Diclonius's hair is pink, but if you look at the manga covers, the different characters who are not Lucy do not have pink hair. They have different shades of color. So yeah, sometimes in the anime they just go with or obtrusive hair colors.
guess so. I was just like, wait, I literally did not recognize that was supposed to be Hyatt when I looked at that cover. I was like, that's crazy.
Now you just reminded me of like the very obscure fact that Bulma's hair was not supposed to be blue originally.
Oh yeah, the fact that it's supposed to be purple. Believe me, one of the most contentious conversations nowadays is what color the Bulma and especially Trunks' hairs are supposed to be now.
And that's for a bonus episode that we will do later. So let's just talk about Excel Saga if we can get back to the main discussion here.
All right, let's go to it.
All right, so like I said, we've been talking about these three characters intermittently throughout the show. So obviously, you gotta have some great actresses for this. You gotta have a high energy actress for Excel. You've gotta have a girl who keeps dying for Hyatt, and you've gotta have someone who can sound like a dog for Menchi. And we got those.
No,
now,
the way you say that almost implies that Hyatt is played by a different girl every episode.
Well, it's not, but it is voiced by someone who has voiced enough characters throughout her lifetime that she could be a different character every episode. So I'm actually going to go in reverse here as far as the casting goes. So Menchi, the little white fluffy dog, is voiced by Hilary Haig. Hilary Haig is a big staple of the ADV and Sentai voice acting pool, all the way back from the days of, like, Razafon. She voiced a character of Megumi in that. I told you I was going to mention Den-O Coil. She voices the lead of Yuko in Den-O Coil, which, yes, is a very good show that I highly recommend to anyone who didn't get around to it. And even into some of the more modern stuff, like, I know this isn't, like, this past couple of years necessarily, but Shiro Baka is a newer-ish show, and she plays Ai in that show. Now I'm going to step aside and let you two tell me what other Hilary Haig thing in more modern stuff should I have mentioned.
That's some of the most modern stuff I can think of. Like, she's definitely still around.
Yeah. Okay, just didn't want to make sure I stepping on anyone's toes there. So, Menchi is there, and now Hyatt is not voiced by a different actress in every episode. She is actually voiced by Monica Rial. Now, I of course could list out any of the billions of anime roles that Monica's had. But for the fun of this, I decided I'm going to look up stuff that's non-anime that she's done.
What?
Just because we never bring this up.
Oh my god. I know one right off the top of my head. I'm curious if you're going to bring it up.
All right, let's go. It's a couple of things I wrote down. She plays Raquel Marin in Genlock.
Oh god, Genlock.
Yeah, right?
Ugh.
She plays, she has a bit part as the character of Jubilee in an episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yep, that's the one I was going to bring up. She's the Dora parody character.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that episode, but I've known, like, in the back of my head that, like, she had a role in an episode, and I've just never gotten around to actually watching that episode. And speaking of non-anime stuff, I think we can all agree that this isn't anime. She voices Sienna Khan in Ruby.
Oh, Noah, oh my god, Noah, why do you do this? You're such a, why do you just literally throw a fucking mine? Why do you throw a mine
facts
on the fucking
There's
ground
no
like that?
argument. You have nothing to stand on. You have no ground. You see the ground here? You have none to stand on at all.
Oh, no.
Okay, it's literally like it's true, but like maybe not the
But
time.
you shouldn't say it.
That too, I guess. Look, I'm glad that it's working out, and I'm very excited that they found a new home with Viz instead of what I assumed the other alternate was going to be.
I just feel like we should stop using the word anime altogether. I've long advocated it doesn't matter if it's from Japan or America. It's all animation. We don't have different terms for what country stuff comes from and anything else aside from this.
Yeah, but Noah, it's not going to sound cool and edgy if I call it a cartoon now, is it?
Yeah, but you gotta tell
But
that to
yes.
Netflix.
And as I will rail against Netflix in there. This is anime, but Castlevania is not an anime. Fuck it, it's an anime. Anyways, so yeah, that's what a few things Monica's been in. Now, Excel, that's an interesting story. Excel actually has 2 English voice actresses.
This is the thing I knew about Excel Saga before I even ever watched it.
Which is interesting. I didn't realize that was more readily known, but I guess if you've heard of it. So what happened is halfway through the show, the first actress had to be recast. And you may be asking, why would they do that? Well, obviously it's because in the Japanese, they had to recast the seiyuu at the halfway point. So they decided to do the same thing in the English. No, that's not what happened. No, what happened was the role is so strenuous and so demanding that they actually had to recast the role because the original actress was actually straining her voice for this and was told that if she kept doing it for like as soon as she was doing it, that she would probably have like long-lasting damage. So it was a good thing that ADV said, no, it's okay, you can take a break from this, we appreciate what you did, but we don't want you to permanently damage your vocal cords. So that's why there's 2 different actresses between parts 1 and part 2. And who are those actresses? For episodes 1 through 13, we have Jessica Calvello. And for episodes 14 through 26, we have Larissa Wolcott. Now, Jessica has done quite a few leads in ADV's time. You may have heard her as Yuri in the Dirty Pair OVA series that ADV dubbed. You may have heard her as Cutie Honey in anything Cutie Honey related that ADV dubbed, like the new Cutie Honey OVAs, or I think one of the series as well.
As well as Sentai, and as well as Discotheque and South Cadence.
And you may have even heard her in His and Her Circumstances, one of the more underrated Gynek series. She plays the lead of Miyazawa, which His and Her Circumstances was basically Umaru-chan before Umaru-chan existed. Now moving over to
Larissa. You said that with
Larissa.
all the energy of like a youth pastor trying to get all the kids to get hip with Jesus, and I'm going to be honest, I feel like you just gave me indigestion.
So, Larissa has also voiced a couple of things you've probably heard, and she's actually jumped a bit between studios, so you may have heard her in both ADV and Funimation stuff. For example, if you've seen the series Wedding Peach, she plays the character of Momoko in that series. She plays the character of Amelia in Romeo and Juliet, the Gonzo series from the mid-2000s. And to tie it all back together into a show that is all about otaku and pandering to Japanese nerds, she's a character in Comic Party Revolution. She plays the character of Emmy in that series.
Alright.
Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Let's talk about Menchi, just to start with here.
Okay, here's my thoughts.
Is that it?
Did a good job, did not care for the gag of Menchi in general.
Yeah, I do feel you there. I thought he had done a good job making cute dog noises. I did feel very bad that Menchi couldn't catch a break. The gag mostly felt weird because honestly, like, if you were to put aside, mostly because it felt like if you were to put aside the dog, if you were to put aside a gag, Excel and Hyatt are otherwise technically responsible dog owners, so it just kind of felt unnecessary after a while. But
It felt weird like that. It's like, why did you always... Why?
Well, luckily Hillary didn't have to, like, match lip flaps or anything, so she got to just go ow, ow, ow throughout the whole show. Even when we meet other dogs who do have actual English voice acting,
God,
Hillary doesn't have to do that.
Oh god, speaking of accents, one of those dogs has a really bad Japanese accent. It's rough. Capital
rough.
R-U-F-F. God, I just realized where I fucking went. I didn't even mean that.
How did you not realize that was a no, never mind.
I'm sorry!
Yeah,
I am just naturally gifted at being fucking funny, I guess.
God, you were gonna make one corny dad when you finally procreate.
Oh, you fucking know it, baby.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the talking points I feel here are on Menchi's character in the show. Without really talking about Hillary's performance, if I remember correctly from the Japanese, her delivery of Menchi's barks and woofs sounds pretty much the same as the Japanese. I'm honestly kind of surprised that they even had to re-record those lines and couldn't just keep the Japanese audio.
Yeah.
I know, I guess, like, 2000s, maybe. I don't know, I guess you could chalk it up to it was a different time, maybe the audio tracks just, like, literally were developed for that, so like, okay, we gotta redo this.
I mean, I can understand that if they were... Yeah, if there was, like, I don't know, so, like, someone translating it in audio form over the bark so that people at home knew what was being said, but... Yeah, I'm not sure. There's probably a story in there somewhere about why that was, but honestly, Hillary Haig is a great actress, and I'm glad to hear her in everything, even if in this one it's hard to tell that it's actually her voice.
Yeah, basically. But she does a pretty good job.
Yeah, so Yeah, so the last thing I'll mention on Menchi's character is that the ADV staff must have had a lot of fun with this character because they even included some Easter eggs on the DVDs. You guys remember Easter eggs?
God.
So
It was a golden age where you could fit weird stuff hidden on the DVD that you had to like click around to try to find.
Oh,
them.
that sounds fucking foreign.
They actually recorded some dog food commercials for Menchi and put them on the DVD.
What?
If I can get that footage, I will rip it and I'll put it right here.
Hey kids, did you know that most hot dogs don't have any dog in them at all? Well, not Menchi dogs. They're made of 100% bona fide canine treats. Don't let your mom sneak you chicken on the sly. Tell her to buy Menchi brand hot dogs, or else you'll break things and set your school on fire. Menchi dogs, the dogs for wieners.
That's insane. Wow. That's actually pretty funny. That's really funny, actually. Goddamn.
Yeah, they didn't need to do it, but the joke, it does not land. I agree for some people. So we'll move on from the Menchi talk, I think. Shall we take a trip to the Hyatt?
Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely a very unique Monica Rial performance.
Unique to say the
It's
least.
definitely clear that it's like even early Monica Rial, I guess, always had like a very anime, like high pitched voice, but it's like this is like it's like really meek in a uniquely strange way. Oh, senior, how are you doing? It's like ooh, girl. And like she must have like recorded that coughing to be authentic. So kudos.
For sure. And I don't know where the joke comes from. It's just one of those random running gags of she's always coughing up blood.
I'm almost
It's
so
never
here's
funny.
what it is. I'm shockingly very used to this gag because this gag is strangely timeless in anime. Where it's like, even as of like a couple of years ago, I feel like I still see like a sickly character who's always like bleeding or coughing blood like on a whim. So Hyatt's bit, I wasn't even fazed by. The most I was fazed by it was when I realized in the final episode of the show, when they didn't have to worry about censors, it wasn't a trickle of blood. It was a fucking blood fountain.
Really? You didn't realize that from the cups of tomato juice or the overflowing of blood? I don't feel like it was censored at all before that.
Okay, here's what it is. I don't think it was a censored bit. I think it was that they decided to, for the sake of the final bit, make it even bloodier. To where it's so bloody that the entire planet is covered in her blood.
Right. This is our final episode. Let's go balls to the wall with every ball we've got to all the walls.
Literally every... It was just like they were going for it. I honestly was impressed.
That was definitely a very weird bit. But I also appreciate that, like, in between that, she's like, I wouldn't even necessarily say any straight man. Or even like
she's just nice.
It is kind of funny that like Oblato sees her as the competent one somehow, where it's like, but most of the time she just seems to kind of like stumble onto things.
She is a good balance to excel as a character because she's just kind of like quiet and meek and a little strange. Compared to Excel, who is fucking wacky. Hoo-hoo!
Yeah, you're right. Monica's natural voice just brought down from a 10 energy down to a 2 energy is very fitting for what.
Which is even funnier when it's just like, cause I kind of wish they did the thing where they actually like had Monica attempting to play Excel and Larissa playing Hyatt. Which, by the way, actually, before we get into this, why are they named after hotels? What the fuck going on there?
Well, why not? Why not name them after hotels?
I guess the offer just really felt like doing that.
Okay, no. Here's what it is. It's the ultimate 11:59. The deadline is coming up. Fuck it. Let's just pull out random words. And okay, hotels. There we go. Screw it. The character's name is after what was it here? It's after the Hyatt. Everyone knows, but what are the other two? Well, Il Palazzo, like plaza. Everyone knows that.
The plaza.
On that note, Noah, I know you aren't around on the internet much. Did you happen to hear the story of the like recent thing with a light novel offer who tried to name a Latina character?
Oh God!
No. Can you forward that over?
Oh, okay, Jet. This one's all you. I know this. Oh God.
So there was a light novel offer who was making a light novel about a character who stumbles onto, or I guess is in a relationship with like a Latina girl or something like that. Just very clearly horny on main energy. But
It's clearly horny on the main, but he knows what he's about, and it's just like, okay, you want the thing to be a rom-com about hooking up with a Latina girl. That's cool.
And what is her name?
So the thing is he wanted to look up some Latina names, but apparently he didn't know any. So he used AI to generate a list of names, and he went down the list of names they picked, and he went with the one he thought was the most appealing.
So
The
literally,
name he picked was
Latina.
And I kid you not, it was Latina.
He actually decided to go with that, and honestly, that's great. Honestly.
See, this is why you
it's
hire
wholesome
human translators. goddammit, to avoid
is.
stupid shit like this.
Well, it was already... No, I remember that. And I remember posting... maybe it was in Discord, maybe it was just on Twitter. I said, this is great. Like, this is... the bar is so low in the world of light novel writers that you can make stuff like this. Where else are you going to find someone writing a horny on main for dark-skinned girls where the name is just the same as their ethnicity? Nowhere else, I tell you.
I'll say this, the bar is so in the goddamn ground that I would still rather read a rom-com about a Latina girl named Latina than read another fucking mega power fantasy. I can't believe my shit skill is actually a really cool skill that makes me a big tough guy and gets all the bitches, and my dick's so hard and I'm gonna kill all my bullies.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Jet. I hope that I forget what the full name of the show of that light novel was, but whatever. I'm My Latina Lover. I hope that becomes a multimedia franchise and people get it tattooed on their arms. I hope it goes on forever, but doesn't actually get racially offensive.
So Hyatt.
What is it? Hyatt is named after the Grand Hyatt Fukuoka Hotel. El Palazzo is the El Palazzo Hotel. And Excel is named after the Hakata Tokyu Excel Hotel. All real hotels.
Incredible.
With that... Now, I do not want you two gentlemen to turn this into a one being better or worse than the other here, but we're just going to talk about Jessica and Larissa's performances and just commend,
I'm not going to make two queens fight each other. I'm not going to make these two queens fight each other.
10 out of 10 performance.
Both are great, and like, I gotta be real, like, they did a really good job of like transitioning between them, I guess. Like,
it's shockingly seamless.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna say the difference isn't noticeable. Like, you will notice it after a while, but like, but the level of energy is basically the same.
The energy is the impressive part. Honestly, legitimately speaking, they did not have to go as hard as they did with voicing Excel, and they both fucking nailed it.
They delivered, and
I
they did
I
have to go
can't
this hard.
say
Because
I
the show-
always liked it, because I feel like Excel tires me out. Like, I've never seen a character where literally just by watching them, I feel tired.
It's a very high energy, and yeah, it's draining. I feel like because she never gets anywhere. Like, she's spinning wheels so fast and moving nowhere every single
I
episode.
can't even pretend I remember what she says. She just says it really long and really fast, and it's like it's like a fucking baby sensory video if it was an anime character.
And luckily, though, it's not all the time. Like, not every time that Excel opens her mouth is it all as fast as, like, the next
Oh,
episode
she gets
previews.
some
Those-
moments to, like, actually, like, digest the line. And there's some good line reads in there, even when she's trying to be kind of emotional. But, oh my god, Jessica and Larissa, absolute queens, did not have to go as hard as they did. And this is like a 2002 anime dub. This level of, like, passion, quality, and insanity probably was not expected. They delivered.
Certainly not the level of diction is super impressive because it's not just spouting out syllables. Yeah, it's like if you're listening carefully, you can hear the individual words in there. She is hitting, both of them are hitting the syllables as hard as they can to make it legible. It's like, okay, dating self here. Do you people know the Micro Machine Man?
The fucking what?
Oh my god. All right. Andrew, have you seen Transformers the movie, the one where Optimus Prime dies?
I know of
Okay.
it.
Just taking a breath here. Okay. You know what? Honestly, that's not in everyone's wheelhouse. That's fine. The reason I ask is because there was this marketing character back in the mid '80s because we were short on oil, and so toy factories were trying to market smaller vehicles or smaller toys, like made with less plastic. And there was a series of commercials with a guy who spoke really, really fast called the Micro Machine Man. And I'm not going to try to repeat all he said, but he was like the guy who held the record for being able to speak the fastest in the world. So much so that they actually cast him as an Autobot in the Transformers movie to do that same thing. That's what Excel's doing here. She's basically the Micro Machine Man, but in anime form.
It's okay. I'll take your word for it.
Jet, please tell me you've at least seen the Transformers movie.
If I did, it was when I was very, very young, so I probably don't remember it.
Okay, that's fair. That's all right. You know what? Transformers is not everyone's cup of tea. It's really not mine either. But
Okay, to be clear, I have seen a fair amount of Transformers. I did definitely watch like some of Beast Wars as a kid, but like my earliest Transformers memories are probably like whatever the first anime was. Like not the not even the Energon one. I think the anime before that one.
yeah. Okay. That gives you listeners out there a good idea about like how the ages of everyone here. They weren't really broadcasting the '80s Transformers show when we were watching TV. Not really.
Noah, you're old.
I'm not really that old. I just turned 34 the other day, man.
And I just turned 32. So
Exactly. So there you go. Like we're still young enough that we don't remember all the old stuff that the old people mention. Just because I watch cartoons that were made in the 30s doesn't mean I'm that old. So this show. All right. Anyone have anything else to say on either Jessica or Larissa's performance?
I think I'm just impressed that they have voices still.
Yeah, bang up job. Real incredible. They still had careers after that. That Jessica is still just around, big as prolific as she is still.
And Monica Rial basically having like probably some of the most anime credits in the English dubbing sphere, and still going strong.
The most.
Literally the most, and like.
Yep.
I don't remember if she's past Koyasu yet. I know she got close. I do-
Probably not. Yeah, I don't remember if she passed, but it's if she hasn't yet as of recording, it probably will be soon.
Good on you, Monica. Good on you. And
The last thing I wanted to say about Excel's performance, and this goes for both the English and the Japanese sides, is that she gets a shit ton of bad puns that do not translate into English. And so I was watching the show with the popped up translations, so I'm trying to listen to her puns in English and read the translations at the same time, pausing the screen every couple of seconds to try to absorb it all. And it's really impressive the parts where they were able to create translations, because a lot of the puns are Japanese specific. They are untranslatable to English audio. I'm just impressed that not only did Jessica and Larissa be able to speak this much, but that they were able to write semi-translated puns for the hundreds of different ones that she has throughout the show.
I am genuinely impressed, yeah.
And I think this is where we got to when we said wasn't necessarily all about the acting, because with all of this, I mean, Jessica and Larissa do have to have, like, highs and lows on the emotions, especially in some of the later episodes where things get a little more emotional. But, yeah, it's really all about that crazy cartoon energy and just keeping it in check.
I think at the end of
Really
the day,
impressive.
all I can do is just admire their lung capacity.
For real. Jet, any other final thoughts on the top three here?
I thought all three did a good job.
Fair enough. We've been going at it for a while, folks, and I think we've, as far as we can tell, this is an impressive accomplishment, and we just wanted to give it props, because who knew that in the deepest realms of Crunchyroll's library that there was a show this crazy, this fun, and this high quality that's just been sitting out there for over 20 years now.
I'm glad that I could still watch and appreciate this in the modern day. I can't say I love it, but I can definitely see why this would be somebody's favorite thing. Because it's that right level of insanity where it's like, oh, I applaud the commitment to the bit. I think it's a level of comedy that doesn't always work for me. It's not my favorite gag comedy thing, but I can see it has enough hits in there for me to still appreciate and recommend it, even if I do think the misses are very rough. The dub itself is still pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would say it's one of those things that is probably worth seeing at least once. Maybe not twice, but at least once.
I'm glad I at least saw it once. The most I could say is because of the way that is currently legally available on Crunchyroll, I would sadly not recommend watching it like that on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, probably.
Because like subtitle signs are necessary for this show, and the closed captions literally just cannot keep up with the show, and because it's a computer trying to like figure out what they're saying, sometimes it gives you literal nonsense.
Which, this show is nonsense, but it's a very Japanese kind of
But
nonsense.
like, I
so-
literally feel like I need closed captions to hear what half of the people are saying, and like, the closed captions on Crunchyroll literally cannot comprehend what they're saying.
Yeah, so yeah, with big criticism, definitely to Crunchyroll specifically. I know that this is not, like, the highest viewed show. It is not, like, the kind of thing that people are flocking to and bringing in those big streaming dollars. That being said, you've got the content, you've got the tracks with on-screen text made available. Just put that version up on the streaming service. And not just for this show, for every other show, make subtitles available for dubbed versions. Don't make us do the thing where you have to watch in Japanese and then have the subtitles on. Have it be available for the hearing impaired in the dub or with on-screen sign. I'm ranting here.
Yeah.
We just got that qualm.
Anyways, I'm glad
thing
I
I wanted
watched
to
it
ask-
at least once, I'll say that.
I kind of disagree with Jed on the not really needing to watch it multiple times. I agree that like you don't need to watch the story multiple times, but I do think that you kind of need to rewatch the episodes a couple times just to pick up on all the references and all the puns and everything that went into this. Because again, unless you're as immersed in the world of 2000s otaku culture as the people who made this, there's going to be stuff you're going to miss.
Okay, I do want to be clear with that. When I said like maybe not twice, I didn't mean like me thinking the show was bad or anything. I meant like I meant like this is a show that's not going to be for everyone, but it is worth seeing at least once.
Indeed. The last question I wanted to end off on is for let's see. So, did either of you guys learn anything new, like about a new franchise or anything else that was like a reference while watching this show?
I mean, the Puni Pony stuff was new. But
Yeah, I didn't know anything about Puni Pony Pueni.
Okay. And the reason I asked that is, and you kind of proved my point, is that I don't recommend this as someone who wants to like immerse themselves in the world of anime pop culture references, because it's going by too fast and it assumes you already are familiar with it.
This is a show
this is not
if you're
learning
deep into this anime world.
Absolutely.
This is not like the shallow end of the pool. This is the fucking deep.
Yeah. So with the Patreon request, thank you for recommending this one. I am curious as to whether or not you were also like this entrenched that you also got the references, because yeah, there's a real timestamp on this.
I want you
really
to know I actually know how old quinoa soup is, and they make me look like an old man.
Really?
I believe they are like in their first or second year of college.
Interesting. So that would be like the equivalent of us recommending something that like came out in the 70s in a similar capacity.
Let's put it like this: Excel Saga probably came out before quinoa was born.
I'm gonna go take a nap in a few minutes.
Okay, you take that existential crisis nap, but first you finish up the fight.
I'm going to. All right, let me get my dentures back in. So, yeah, the show that you've just been listening to us talk about, Excel Saga, it is currently available for legal streaming over on Crunchyroll. We just had a long spiel about the pros and cons of using that method. I mean, obviously we don't endorse piracy for something that's readily available, but it is worth noting that the availability of it is not as strong as it could be.
So at this point, if you want to support the official
release,
it is your best bet. I just say if you are at least able to find like a Blu-ray or something, take it.
Yeah, and the Funimation Anime Essentials release of this is still available, for insignificant dollars. So yeah, I'd recommend that more than I would watching the streaming version as well. And then you may also want to know what we are doing. Yes, we're going to plug ourselves. We are the Dub Talk Podcast, and you can follow us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where we release new episodes every 2 weeks, sometimes even every week, especially during our Summer at the Movies, which, as of recording, we have just completed, and I think that went very well. So thank you, everyone who listened to those episodes. We've got audio-only feeds on all the places where you can find your audio-only feeds. Your Google Plays, your Podbeans, all of those places are available. So if you prefer to take us on the go, feel free to use those options.
Okay, hold up. I need to help you there. It's Podbean, it is Spotify, and it is Apple Podcasts. What do you mean your Google Plays? That's a fucking digital store, not specifically a podcast hub. No, I really feel like I need to pull an okay boomer on you. You're genuinely upsetting me tonight.
Well, that's good. You should be. You should never be content.
Thank you.
And we want to give a huge shout out to not only the fine people who listen to our podcast, but also our Patreons. Yes, Dub Talk Podcast over on Patreon. where we have special tiers available for those of you who would like to get the episodes a little bit early and donate a little bit to even make suggestions for what our next episodes are going to be. In fact, you could be the one to make the recommendation for our next Patreon episode. And we want to give a big shout out to, first of all, our $5 patrons. Big thank you to Michelle Travis, Megan's mom and dad, Marissa Lenti, and the Patreon patron themselves, Quinoa Soup.
Let the record show you can be a $10 tier to submit an episode, and then once you get your thing, you can go down to a lower tier. It is a valid strat.
Yes, thank you. Speaking of those $10 patrons, we have a huge thanks to those $10 patrons, the ones who donate a little bit more to get the episodes a little bit early and are that much more valuable to us. Big thank you to Anthony Brown. Thank you very much, Anthony. Huge shout out to the charismatic Carly Lesticow. Big shout out to our very own Crimson Echidna. I know you're listening there in the Discord chat. Joyous celebration to the wonderful Julia W. And like I mentioned, we mentioned Quinoa Soup because, again, donated $10 tier to be eligible for this episode.
As a heads up, I think you went down to $5 tier, but I think I forgot to edit that out. Hang on.
No, it's alright. I'll trim this part out of the audio.
Cool.
And an awesome otaku thank you to Otaku Anthony. Again, thank you guys so much for being the reason why we do these special Patreon episodes. Want to shout out also our buddies here on the podcast and give them the second to tell you what they are doing. Let's go over to Andrew.
Hi, my name is Andrew, aka Classy Spartan. You can find me over on Twitter at MangaMan9000. You can find me over on Blue Sky at ClassySpartan.BlueSky. However how it works, it's on my Twitter because it be like that. I do the Dub Talk podcast and I also do Surreal Resolutions anime news podcast O&A with my buddy Jet. Jet, what do you do?
I'm also on Surreal Resolutions podcast O&A. Also, you can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, at Divine Digger, where I'll usually just be going over anime news, manga news, game stuff, or I guess just whatever topic I feel like ranting about. You can also find me on my blog, The Dirty Base, where I'll usually just be talking about whatever Shonen Jump stuff I'm reading. And I also do some freelance work for ANN, usually doing anime reviews. This season, I'm covering Sakura Rise and Ruin, Naruto for You, and Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, which is totally been a bit of a trip.
You told me that you were very proud that you got to talk about Fairy Tail shipping for several hours, and it's like, I'm proud of you, buddy. Okay, it was less pride and more, oh god, this is my life. I'm ranting about Fairy Tail shipping in an official ANN review. Fuck.
Yep.
Someone's got to do
it.
it.
You also did some coverage for Anime NYC recently that I got to tag along with and hang out with you for a little bit.
Nice.
Though some of that probably won't be up for a while. So.
I believe that, but by the time this episode is out, it probably will be.
Well, in case it hasn't, if it is out, go to ANN to see that coverage, and if it's not, then, I don't know, bookmark it until it does, I guess.
Anyways, congrats to you either way. And what about you, Noah?
And you can follow me on Twitter at NoahClue, where I am constantly talking about the wide world of animation of of everything out there right now. I've been kind of in the middle of backlogging my DVD collection recently, so I've been kind of going through some stuff that I'd kind of forgotten I have. And also recently been ripping a lot of my old Looney Tunes DVDs, which means I've been categorizing those chronologically, which is a lot of fun, going from the really early black and white stuff through the really good stuff in the 40s, and then watching it peter out in the 50s. It's kind of fun building a chronology of a series that lasted for 3 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I think we have conquered the Earth. Yes, we have finally achieved Il Palazzo's goal, and we can rest easy knowing that the world is ours. And so thank you everyone for being here for this extraordinary episode, and we're so glad we could do it again. And now I'm going to go eat my dog, and we're going to have a
Jet, bark like a dog. Oh.
Ow, 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 ow.
It's a mist of song.
Good night, everybody, and otaku on, my friends.
Aloha.
食すなら